They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You play any and every position. From coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh, my goodness. Let's see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome to Earn Your Liberation, episode 9, right here on Black Power Media. I'm Jared Ball, Geechee Yaw, Diallo, brother Diallo Kenyatta in the building. What's up, fellas?
Morning.
What's up? What's up? How y'all
Greetings,
feeling?
everybody. Huh? What's up?
So how y'all feeling?
No, it's cold. Snow is back.
Oh, man. I'm too far south. We don't get snow in Maryland anymore.
Just you wait. The rules are all changed, you know.
Because I thought we were going to get to your global warming segment and you would explain why I don't get snow anymore. And now you're telling me it's on its way?
I'm just saying, no, you can't count on nothing no more. You can't talk about what you get, what you don't get. The rules have all changed.
Right on, right on. Geechee, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. I feel, you know that Biggie Small songs, Play a Hater. Play a hater, turn your head around. I feel like that now.
Who changed the screen here?
I don't know. Diallo
back there playing with the buttons.
Yeah, man. Diallo trying to make you the star of the show. He trying to take the attention away from himself.
Oh, you want us to be big screen? What you want to do, man?
Yeah, Diallo, stop touching stuff, man. We're gonna revoke his button license.
Should have never gave Diallo access to the buttons. What's up, everybody? Remixers, greetings.
This man hitting all type of buttons this morning.
So what were you asking about? What's up, Ricky? Hey, man, shout out to Ricky Ryan and Black Alliance for Peace. Came through my class yesterday. Talking about
knowledge on them students.
Oh man, it was actually, all jokes aside, the presentation is vicious. Very well styled, looks fly. There was one, I can't wait till the only problem I have is that it was a short day, a shorter class, and then we're going on spring break / wellness week. So I got to wait a whole week before we can come back. Cause I know that I would have liked, at one point when they're describing neocolonialism, they have a picture of Obama and then locally Mayor Scott. And I would have liked, we didn't get a chance to let that marinate and bubble. And I want to see how the students react to that in particular. Because I think a lot of folks think that the young mayor is a pretty fly guy and a pretty cool guy,
especially with the cruddy and stuff. Yeah,
you know, and then he barks at the reporters and at a press conference, and folks get they're like, yeah, they're like, that's our mayor, and it's like, but like, anyway, so
did you slide that wellness week in there, or that's a thing?
well, that's one of the, I think it's one of the new, I think it's nationwide university. It's a way of particularly post-COVID or not really post-COVID, but since COVID has arrived, giving students and faculty, but I think it's primarily to give students a chance to take it easy. And they really wanted us to focus on don't assign anything, don't expect anything, literally give them that break. And I'm with that. So,
okay, capitalism.
It's a nice little rebrand, I think. You're going to get the break off anyway, so it's not an additional time. They did add a few wellness days here and there where you're supposed to, as faculty, let students just take a day, and and I'm good with that. Look at the
hippie shit.
taking a smoke break and having a sesh. With
this stuff the fascists start. Y'all pissing off the fascists, considering treating humans like anything more than production units of production.
I mean,
all that safe space rhetoric and mental health and all that mess. I'm old school.
It's slick.
Protestant work ethic.
Go take a nap.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because all the curriculum and funding is directing everybody to science and STEM and hard work and labor, and to not really think much about the world.
Yeah,
so,
no ethics,
no
philosophy, units of production. We want to program humans, not educate and enlighten.
But even a cost to be taken to get an oil change, you even have to rest equipment from time to time. So
how else are we going to compete?
Work them harder.
How will we stay competitive?
I guess a couple of loan forgivenesses will be better than that wellness week.
Yeah.
You want them to be well, just knock off some of them loans. They'll be all right then.
I mean, that's always my thing. Take away the things that actually pain me, and we'll be good.
That's insidious too, though, because remember when in the new tech economy they started putting food tables in corporate offices, and they started letting people wear jeans and t-shirts and sneakers into work.
Who you talking about? Google and Facebook?
Yeah, we thought these new tech CEOs would be more humane and more understanding oligarchs than the old oil barons and the railroad barons. And it turned out they're so. I mean, all that superficial drapery they're putting over,
So you're trying to tell me you didn't like the garden on top of the building?
All that bullshit. I'm saying that the garden on top of the building didn't mean that these vicious capitalists were any less ecocidal and genocidal and hyper parasitic than their predecessors.
So speaking of which, I have to, so in terms of, so that was my one frustrating thing about what has to wait a week to come back to. One thing I am glad that we have time to sort of just let fester over is something that I honestly have never considered. What part of what the BAT presentation yesterday was talking about the 1033 program and the militarization of campus, of police in general, and then how it's impacting the campus. And I never once, I must admit this, thought for even 1/2 second in all my years of academia and faux revolutionariness. Seriously, I never thought for 1 second about a point that they made yesterday that they raised the question, so it's understandable almost on one level, it's understandable how the 1033 program would work and why the police would want that to get excess military equipment from the military. But when the specific question was asked, if the campus police are here to protect students, why then do they need to get an increase via the 1033 program of heavy rifles, riot shotguns, so on and so forth. And the point that Ricky and Bat pointed out was it's not to protect you, it's to protect the university against the fact that it is encroaching into another Black community, and it is expanding the empire, so to speak, via the campus into the Black community, and therefore they must be as armed and well prepared for the predictable backlash from an oppressed community as any other militarized force. And I have never once thought about it, and it really didn't strike me until, you know, because we had to wrap up. I had to leave real quick, and I'm on, you know, traffic is where I do all my best freestyle rhyming and thinking, and I'm sitting there on the way home, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I know at least one or two students have had a similar reaction post the class, where you have that delayed, I can't be the only one out here, where you get that sort of delayed creeping wisdom. And I was like, hold up. Oh man.
Can I?
Why should I be ashamed of myself? I should have thought of everything. Only people in YouTube chats are the wise ones who have considered and thought of every single thing.
Won't they do it? Oh my goodness. You better say everything about everything. That is the
and don't admit shit. No ignorance on it. Don't admit you not knowing know something.
It all, because that
was my biggest mistake. I sat up here and acknowledged that I learned something yesterday. God damn.
Right. You'd be like, yeah, there is earth and wind. Oh, but you didn't mention fire. He's trying to look for the gap. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, man. It's rough out here, these YouTube streets. But anyway.
Can I say something though?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Because I've been following this CopCity and stuff, but I really am sorry that I don't remember who pointed this out decades ago. The militarization of the police is a smokescreen, I think. I think we're fighting against something that if we win that fight, we will not recognize the victory because shit will not change. Because I'm old enough to remember when cops had the 38 6-shooter and the little metal baton, the wooden batons, and they didn't wear the flak vest. They just wore the button-down shirts with the badge, and often the shirt would be opened, and it would be hairy chest with a little medallion resting on the chest hairs. I remember the cops from the 70s and 80s. And remember, police brutality was going on when they were twirling the sticks, walking the beat. So the militarization is not what causes the brutality and abuse. I'm
sorry to interrupt, but they called that stick the nigger knocker. Remember that?
Right. So long before they had those telescoping metal batons, long before they had the flak vest, long before they had the semi-automatic, when they had that little 6-shooter 38 and that little wooden baton without a vest, long before they had the tanks, when they had those old Oldsmobile cruisers with the one big light on the top. The police brutality is not caused by police militarization. Police militarization is really about money laundering. It's about the excesses of the larger U.S. military industrial complex. It is just about they don't have anywhere to put all these weapons they're manufacturing with the 800 children. It's about white welfare, really. It will not stop. So if all the police went back to their 1970s gears, go read about the police of the 1950s. Go read about the police of the 1940s. Andy Griffin was splitting heads just as aggressively as the modern day cops. So
not Mayberry, not
I'm
Barney.
Just saying, we fighting against the wrong thing. We fighting against the cosmetics, the drapery. You know, I had an uncle who was a cop for 30 years. 90% of that equipment, the battering rams and the tanks, 90% of that just gathered dust. They used to take all those military grade weapons out to the range and shoot, and they would pose with pictures and all these cool pictures with them. Most of the oppression doesn't come from that. It's not, we acting like, you ever see the movie The Jerk?
Yeah, of course, unfortunately.
And when the guy was trying to assassinate the jerk and he kept hitting the cans and the jerk thought it was the cans were the problem. It's a smoke screen. It's a deflection. It's a distraction.
But to be clear, just to be clear, and I see, Ricky, I don't want her to have an aneurysm in the chat, but nobody, just to be clear, nobody in BAP, and certainly not me or anyone around here is arguing against your point. Nobody is saying that the tapestry is in itself the problem. It's a way of getting to the problem. It's often been a tactic of people in radical spaces because police violence is one of the most obvious and sort of ubiquitous and universally hated reality. But I get your point. I don't, but just to be clear, BAP and myself and we're clear that this was just a way to get to the more of the crux of the issue. The only other thing I would add is that the only difference between the Barty Fife era and today that I would want to highlight is pre and post BLA. That I don't think the police are unaware that that one of the disadvantages that they had at the time of the rise of Dhoruba and his crew was just that. They only had that little baton and an open whatever. And I think so. In addition to what you're saying, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but in addition to that, I would add that I do think that they thought, okay, we need to step this up a little bit because we are going to continue to oppress these folks and they might continue to organize and militarize their own responses. And then lastly, I would point to again, just like again, that and I should update, follow up on it, but that 2018 report that showed that the Air Force was running war games in preparation for a Generation Z uprising, that there is sort of a parallel, at least purpose to what you were saying, that the military and the police are saying we need to be prepared for an increased rebelliousness among those we're going to continue to exploit.
Yeah, but they do that irregardless. They've been the military's been running scenarios for an invasion from Cuba. They run scenarios for shit they know that's not going to happen because they got to spend the money. All I'm saying is when we're saying we got to stop the police, we don't have to stop the militarization of the police. I'm just saying a lot of times is we could focus on and win that victory. We can say, okay, the military surplus will no longer be given away to various police departments. And let's say they send that money. They're just going to send those weapons and that gear to sub-Saharan Africa, or they're going to send it to Latin America to fight the drug war, because it's got to go somewhere, because the United States is overproducing shit nobody wants. So they got to give it away and find a place for it to go. And all I'm saying is we're putting a lot, we don't have to add militarization. We have to stop the police. It's not fuck the police militarization. It's fuck the police, because the very institution itself, where all I'm saying is if we look at the history, they were oppressing us with 6-shooter revolvers before they upgraded to Desert Eagles. They managed to brutalize and oppress and murder people and beat people to death with those wooden billy clubs at the same way they beat us to death with the telescoping metal batons. So it is the institution of policing, not the type of weapons that they use. That is the problem. And I see a lot of focus on their tactics, fighting against the SWAT teams and stuff. The SWAT team's only been around since like the 70s, the late 60s, for the vast majority of the police, the existence of the police force. And they were burning down entire communities, before they got militarized. So I'm against militarization of the police, but I don't have to add, I'm just against the police, period. Because guess what? After we fight the militarization of the police, then we're going to be fighting the technological enhancement of the police and the surveillance of the police. And we just fighting various tactics and opposing tactics instead of opposing the institution itself.
But when you highlighted those contradictions of the militarization, that's still saying fuck the police. It's just,
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, how not? You still get
Because
to that
a lot of
conversation.
people truly believe that it is that they got on black uniforms. If they just go back to the blue uniforms instead of the black uniforms, if they just wear the sneakers instead of the jack boots, if they just wore, if they didn't wear military vests and just wore, puffy jackets, that's why they're out there painting the police cruisers rainbow colors during Pride Month. They think it's just the trappings. So just from my observation and looking at the history of the police since their founding, I just think that we can go on, and very soon militarization won't look. When they got these robots, we're going to de-robot the police. Now, when they got drone surveillance and those little militarized dogs, we keep fighting against the police. Will use whatever tactics, resources, and strategies around, but their mission is the same. So whether you have a caveman with a billy club or English crossbow or a laser weapon, oppression is oppression. And the tools that the oppressor use are not the problem. It is the oppressor that is the problem.
So all I would add to that is that if you check out the BAT presentation, which again is flyly styled, it will just give you more detail and organization and ammunition for your argument. There's no disagreement here. It just gives some, organization and depth to your very argument. So it's cool. The only other thing I would want to add real quick is that the coldest line I remember hearing from Frank Wilderson on one of his presentations was, he said, "I'm not against police brutality. I'm against the police." And the little pause in there really messed up the audience. I like that. I like that. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Geechee, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we got other shit to get to. Get some.
Yeah, let's get to. I was gonna say, you talking about the police. I'd rather talk about, blame everything on black women.
Yeah, because listen. Before we get charged for hating on Black Girl Magic, I think we should honor the sisters in the chat. And I put what woman historically will you celebrate for International Women's Day? I put Esther Cooper Jackson up there. I've been reading her lately. So y'all got some people y'all want to celebrate before we get into this Cathy Hughes hate. Other than y'all white.
I'm
Y'all
gonna
down
celebrate my wife.
Other than your wife, we're gonna have to lift some women up. I know
there are no other women other than my wife.
Oh man. Okay. Well, shout out to Ricky, Ryan, Coco, all of the women in the chat, Emma.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course. No,
y'all
I think
get Ella Baker. Y'all gonna have to cover for us in a second. So,
in all honesty, one of the reasons why I am somewhat inattentive to these months and celebrations is because I think if you just look at the general content, if you look beyond the snapshot of one show or one conversation and look at the breadth of the work, I think it's pretty clear how many and who we celebrate. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry, that would be it.
I think there's no more evidence of your oppression and dehumanization than if you got a month in this system. You got Native American Heritage Month. We got Black History Month, Women's History Month, Pride Month. Getting a month. I want to fight so that we don't have a month. I think the months are.
You don't want a Brother Diallo month?
Being that you're an academic, there's a correlation between having a month, workers, and isn't there like a Workers' Day? A correlation between having a day or a month and being oppressed and exploited. So, that's why I'm want White History Month, Man's History Month. That's why when the white reactionary conservatives, when the fascists cry about that, maybe we should give them what they want. We should
have a White History Month. That's actually, I think that's actually
I see the correlation. Maybe there is perhaps some causation too, because nothing points to your low standing in a system or a society than having a day, Secretary's Day, than having a day or a month. So I'm a support Black women by not supporting Women's History Month. Because goddamn, there's a Disability Day. I mean, they just give you, because when they ain't gonna give you no power, when they ain't gonna give you no justice,
they ain't
gonna give you no reparation, they give you a month or a day or a week. Native American Heritage Month. So I'm gonna go ahead and just
which has been co-opted. I saw a police speaking of what's the guy who fall and almost killed himself? The white guy, the politician, I'm forgetting his name.
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch. Mitch. Speaking of Kentucky, in Kentucky,
prayers going up.
No, prayers going down. But I saw this police department in Kentucky highlighting all their white police women and saying International Women's Month. So they shout out to the white women police that they say. I'm like, nah, game over. But yeah,
I actually like that idea. I think we need a White History Month and just
let's give months to all the shitty oppressors because they keep giving us days and months. Let's take the resources and the power and give them the days of recognition and the months and weeks. Let's flip this shit.
Like really highlight them. They want that magnifying glass lens or whatever.
Yeah, get a white boys. That's what they've been crying. But there's no White History Month. There's no Man's History Month. Give it to them.
Let's give it to them.
Yeah, let's take the resources.
We should just have it just be White Man's History Month.
CEO Day. No more Secretary's Day. Let's have a CEO Day.
I think you are to something there, Diallo.
I am, man. Y'all I be playing 4D chess.
No, clearly you are clearly the most advanced, the most.
The coach is what?
The coach's top thought leader.
Oh man, I forgot, man. Welcome everybody.
It's Blackfish Fridays.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. How do you all want to get started with this? The link to this. Who keeps messing?
I didn't do it this time. My hand is nowhere near the keyboard or the mouse.
It's definitely you.
No.
It had to be, but anyway, whatever. It
wasn't me this time.
In your fourth dimension, in the future, you came back and did it before we realized.
I'm gonna do the rest of the show like this. Y'all just like the pigs.
You the living brother.
I'm gonna do the rest of the show with my hands in plain sight. Okay, where are we moving on?
He is the living Tenet. Now. Did you all see Tenet? I should watch that again. That movie was you are Tenet.
I couldn't overstand that movie.
I couldn't either, but I know he manipulated time and fought himself, and that's you messing with you came back here messing with the thing.
That dude manipulated nepotism. He manipulated nepotism.
He just doing what the white folks are doing. That's how they get their acting careers. He's just following suit. Denzel said, "I see the blueprint. Hire my son.
Let me in."
That's how they do what the white folks do. Okay.
Hey, he's better than Tom Hanks' son. He's better than Tom
Chet Hanks.
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, I've been more entertained by Chet Hanks. That's one entertaining dude, man. He ain't even got no cameras on. He ain't even got no script. He just go off the dome. You can't tell me. Tell me a nepotism baby that has given you more hours of enjoyment and entertainment than Chet Hanks. You know what I mean? Star. Stop it. I keep saying.
All right. So the link to this Cathy Hughes interview is in the show description if people want to go check it. I'll let either one of you go ahead and get it started if you like.
I mean, I think one we should definitely. Well, so the video, it was really hard to watch because it was a whole bunch of fangirling by one of the sisters on there.
Weird.
And Questlove is probably the most cheesiest, worst interviewer on the planet. But I think off the top, like most of Cathy Hughes' stories about her, I started out as an owner and all this other stuff just made me want to just dig into like, okay, where does money coming from? And I had to service my debt. I couldn't service my debt. I just wanted to see where the money came from, you know. And so I spent a lot of time just looking into some things. And one of the main stories, even after she got the money from her, supposedly her and her husband had some money, and then there was some black lenders that had some money. Even after they got all that money, they still didn't have enough. And there's one report that
can't you kind of start off with the bio because you're kind of like just going into the meat of it.
Well, I'm just saying,
you're assuming everybody in
I was
the
gonna say
audience
you
knows who that
skipping
is.
over it, right? We got to
We
lay
can
out
go back
who's
to
Cathy.
jumping right off.
We can go back
You
to
skipped
something.
over.
You so anxious to tear down a prominent black
I'm
woman,
trying to
man.
celebrate
You ain't
Women
even
History. Listen,
following
I'm trying
the.
to celebrate Women History Month. So shout
They
out to
gonna
the
see through that. They gonna
shout
see
out to
through
the
that. My
Puerto
black
Rican
queen.
woman.
Listen, sisters, they
Listen.
see through that. You can't
Shout
come
out-
in with my queens. I
shout out
love
to
my
the Puerto
queens.
Rican
and
woman.
You start tearing down sisters. They hip to
Shout
that
out-
one. You got to come up with a
Shout
new
out,
tactic.
shout out to the Puerto Rican woman who gave her a loan on her first week at the bank. This lady was the first week at the bank, and she gave Cathy Hughes a $600,000 loan. Shout out to that woman. So I'm celebrating all the women for Women History. Now let's get into the bio.
Now let's tear down this woman. Let's rip apart this woman.
So just so we can
Manosphere
give,
time.
I'm not going to play because I just assume that there would be some copyright issue, but just so there can be some sort of graphic display of what we're talking about. You see Cathy Hughes. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Cathy Hughes up here in the top corner. You got Fonte from Little Brother is in here, and this sister here is a Radio One legacy. I don't know. She has a history with Radio One. I don't particularly know her, and then I don't know who the two white boys are either. But
yeah, those two white boys, it was kind of weird on the screen. But this one white boy, Sugar, what's his name? Cash.
But
or
apparently
Sugar?
they're artists of some kind, and the one in the top corner is on Broadway. They were talking about he does something on Broadway, like apparently
Manuel
he's,
Miranda.
you know,
They said he worked. With,
he worked with Hamilton, which I have a note about. I was like, of course
Gross.
you do. Of course,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hey, the one at the
Yep.
bottom was shooting. The one at the bottom was shooting a shot at Cathy. He was like, "Are you?"
Yeah,
single?
I mean, it gets a little. When she talks about being single, and then she makes reference to some passing reference I forgot exactly what she was saying, but it was in some asexual way to nudity, and then he ran with that for a second, which was a little gross too. But she seemed to enjoy it. She seemed to, because she welcomed it. She shouted him out for acknowledging her singleness. But anyway, so
but like I said, we haven't we got people in the audience never been in the same room with the AM FM radio.
Right. So we got to go through some of the history of who Cathy Hughes is.
These
and
youngins out there.
Yeah.
So let's start. I know, Geechee, you want to tear her down, but we got to build her up first.
Right. Yeah, we really got to make this plain because I mentioned this in another context and realized halfway into what I was rambling on about that probably nobody knew who I was they didn't fully appreciate what I was saying.
They don't understand the power this woman, influence this woman has had over the community and over them personally. I promise you.
That's right.
Cathy Hughes has impacted your life.
So there is a clip. So I posted separately, but also in response to this, a classic panel that I am going to play a clip from at some point, whenever we want to work that in. But of Glenn Ford and Dr. Todd Stephen Burrows and a couple of others, but we're on a panel in 2007 that NPR hosted as an in-house discussion that never was aired. And I don't remember how I did it, but I made sure that I walked away with the audio. I honestly don't remember how I did that, but I made sure, and I posted that yesterday. And I encourage people to, and it's linked in the show description to this here as well. This legendary panel is important because they go through the history of Black radio, and they're in discussion with, she's unfortunately dead now, but Tashima Walker, who was a Radio One up and coming administrator at the time. And you get to hear her. We're not going to play these clips, but you get to hear her and her Radio One bosses defending the history of Cathy Hughes and her evolution of a radio empire that she wants to deny exists in this discussion. I thought that was interesting. But the clip that we're going to hear from Glenn Ford on that panel is him talking about the fact, and I remember this part very well, this history very well, that Cathy Hughes, taking advantage of the 1996 Telecommunications Act signed by Bill Clinton, allowing for further consolidation and conglomeration of media and privatization of media, she was able to buy up a bunch of radio stations and become the biggest, to this day, owner of Black radio stations, radio and television and ultimately television that targets Black audiences. So, and in doing that, she did, to Diallo's point, she has had a monstrous impact on the consciousness politically, musically of Black audiences for decades, starting in the late 70s, early 80s, taking off by the late 80s, early 90s, and really through to today. She has more to do with what young Black people, and at this point, people our age, think than we would want to acknowledge. And I'll come back to some of that. Diallo, I see you wanted to say something, so I'll stop there for now. We can keep going with this, but go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, I just wanted to kind of give some people some origins on who and we are talking about before we got into the meat of the discussion, because I definitely think there's a lot to be mined from that slush fest. You know, it was a lot of, as we say from Kansas City, there was a lot of jeffing going on. But aside from the name dropping and the jeffing, there was a lot of insight that was given from the Negro elites, the Black misleadership. You know, this woman is worth $500 million and is in control and has controlled media, Black media, and was able to, where she talked about in that interview, making artists, how she's at the fountain from everybody gives deference to her, even Snoop Dogg. When she came in the room, she talked about how Snoop Dogg would put out his blunts and wouldn't smoke around her. He'd be in the building, the whole building be smoked out, and he'd hear Cathy Hughes is in the building, and he'd hurry up and snuff out his blunt and try to open the window and air the place out. That's the level of impact she had, and this is, you know, dating back decades. So going back way back to the old soul music to disco to hip hop up until today, whatever origins of music. She is definitely a king and queen maker within the culture.
She, you know, and again, she's part of a class that emerged that people like Dr. King and others were already criticizing before they were assassinated or imprisoned or whatever, of people who took advantage of the lane created by the civil rights and Black power and et cetera struggles. And that lane allowed for a handful of Black women and men to make their way in following a very capitalist, white supremacist, colonialist path to develop, as you said, a $500 million empire. She still controls, I think she was saying, 68 stations, radio stations, and television, TV One as well. And then, as we're going to talk a little bit about, she has had some sort of influence over or platforming of so many people that continue to reverberate and cause problems that it's really remarkable. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So I got jumped off, but so did you talk about Tony Brown yet? Like because I
no,
guess
we didn't get to any of the specifics of that. We were just trying to give some of the background of who this woman is, because even as they do talk about in this podcast, if anything, many people would have only been introduced to her through the false representation of her history in that film about Petey Green. So anyway.
Well, she's a media mogul before it was a word, before Puffy,
right?
Before all these, she was a media mogul. She was like I said, a king and queen maker in terms of Black music and moving on to television and all modes of broadcast. She was it's where she talks. She's just this poor little Black girl from Oklahoma who just was exceptional, an exceptional Negro who managed to work hard, sacrifice, and make her dreams come true, which is this.
But the one thing I forgot to go back on is, who was her mother? Because her mother was a famous entertainer of some sort, and I forgot to check.
I just found that out yesterday. Yeah,
me too.
Her
I
whole
didn't know.
family was in the entertainment industry. Her mother was part of this.
Her...
Was the original Freedom Riders, she called it. Her mother was part of I don't remember the name, but her mother was a part of all-female orchestra, and the orchestra had white and Black women. And she said that the white women in the orchestra would dress themselves up to look like Black women when they played the South, because black artists
Right.
and white artists were not allowed to travel together. So in order to save money, the white women would literally dress up in blackface. And when they were in parts of the Jim Crow South, she said they would board the bus. And the white women were so good at disguising themselves as black women, is that often the mulatto women would be scrutinized. The biracial or mulatto women of that time, what they called them, they would be accused of passing or accused of being white, whereas the white women were never found out or never even accused because they were so good at disguising themselves as black women. I'm like, that shit is wild. And she said, which I don't know if it's true or not, that they invented the tour bus because before the origin of the tour bus is that black artists were not allowed to stay in hotels. So they started utilizing these large buses and creating cots and sleeping arrangements within the bus so that because when they went to towns to perform, they couldn't get accommodations. So that's the origins of the tour bus.
I didn't. That's news. To
So
me
I
as well.
learned. I was learning stuff as much as I was. I'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting," and then vomit, and then, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that," and then vomit. So it was a
that's
weird
the
ride.
problem,
I wish y'all
but
stopped sending me that weird shit. It's just weird.
But that's the problem, though.
So
we get. Go ahead, man. My bad.
No,
Go
no.
ahead, man.
I would say I saw her father was like the first African American to get an accounting degree from Cretan, and then her mother's father founded Piney Woods Country Life School, like a private boarding school for African Americans. So even before it seems like her mother had this music talent, she also had advanced degrees and had a background with some.
But
with
she
some
likes. She likes to play the poor Oklahoma. She like bootstraps. A lot of these affluent Negroes that had opportunities and resources well beyond the median, well beyond the masses, often like to pretend like because she
came from segregation. She came from Oklahoma. She came from all of this struggle, but they had a clear black capitalist entrepreneurial bourgeois lane to run in. Go ahead, my
but so one of the things, again, I couldn't confirm because I don't know if she mentioned this on the interview, but in that same article I read that, and it was saying how she got pregnant at 16, her parents kicked her out and got married to the brother who got her pregnant, and that was kind of like but beyond that, after she divorced him, that's when she kind of met Tony Brown, which I remember Tony Brown struggling with Daruba and Daruba and I can't forget the other lady name on Donahue's show, and he used to always be like in opposition to the type of politics that Daruba had. So
you might be a little young, but for some of us, Tony Brown's journal was a huge program. And I'll pull this up here just to give a little visual, but my memory, well, he was always around in my memory, but as I got older, he was very much into the black capitalist, black entrepreneurial, black buying power. So he wouldn't have been agreeing with Daruba, but he was he was like the black conservative antithesis to like Gil Noble or something like that, or the antithesis of Elizabeth Middleton, something like that. But and a predecessor to Cathy Hughes's people like Tom Joyner and Steve Harvey and whoever else. Tavis.
When she was going over the impacts and reach of people like Tom Joyner, I had no idea. I remember back in the day they had Tom Joyner cruises.
Yes,
like they would take whole Carnival cruise ships of his audiences around the globe, and that kind of flew over me because I just didn't listen to that foo-foo lame shit. So that it's just the level of impact. But
I did in doing honestly, I've always either known about Tom Joyner or somewhat had in the background. I never really watched that much, but in doing the Buying Power book, I did research into him and was at least a little bit surprised at how big he had gotten. and how much of an impact he had. And there was a while, I remember, I couldn't find them though. I think they've been scrubbed, but he used to have on YouTube as part of his website testimonials from the Tom Joyner listening audience, where you would see these Black men and women in these scripted videos saying, literally calling him their Uncle Tom. And as they helped him deliver the good white corporations to their awareness, like, you know, if Uncle Tom tells us to buy your washing machine, we're gonna buy it. And these videos were created for him to use to market himself as delivering Black buying power to white advertisers. I mean, it was remarkable. And unfortunately, I should have grabbed him when I had a chance. But anyway, so yeah, that's Cathy, but beautifully. And this is the point I'm getting at that you were bringing up a minute ago, Diallo, is that what they do in this podcast and what is clearly happening right now is that generation is helping to rebrand the history of the past to justify their form of struggle and resistance in the moment today. So this whole thing of, she just rebranded the entire history of her life, of her work in radio, of the history of Black radio, and suggested that what she has done and left us with is some Black revolutionary struggle machine that we should all honor her for. And it's beautifully done. So that's why I get the point that you're saying, we're going from, oh, that's interesting, to vomit. That's interesting to vomit, because they're telling stories that are fascinating and are interesting and are you know, parallel or relevant to our own lives or interests, but then they're rebranding it in such a, I mean, it's gross.
I think it's more insidious than just rebranding. I think it's passing the baton as well. This is a cancer that has metastasized. And if you look at the role that Questlove is playing, you know, he curated that whole 50th anniversary of hip hop thing for the Oscars. Not the Oscars, the Grammys. I get them confused. You know, if I might say, you know, the award shows for pimps and hoes and every other hypocrite to show off their clothes. So he curated that. So Questlove is well beyond just the afro. He don't even have an afro no more. That pissed me off when I clicked on it and he got cornrows. I mean, Quest just letting me down left and right. But this is a passing of the baton. This was an anointing. As these hip hoppers start to go behind the scenes in this quote unquote new media, where she was talking about that was her first ever podcast. And you see the direction that these big podcasters are going in, and about how they're very selective about, because as bad as Tony Brown was, he would have Kwame Ture on his show. Mm-hmm. You know, he would have authentic Black scholars and leftists on his show.
Although so did William Buckley. So that's
right. Yeah. You don't get that today. No. You get Dr. Umar representing the left. You know, a guy who's literally like a far right reactionary,
was a monster.
And he's on there representing the left or the radicals. So with these new media, these new media icons, it was more than just, all I'm saying is it was more than just a rebranding. It was the passing of the baton and the anointment to perpetuate what Cathy Hughes did in terms of directing and dictating Black media for all of us on behalf of the systems and institutions of white hegemony and capitalism, Black capitalism, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of white capitalism.
So
go ahead. Yep.
So being the corporate predator with evidence, did you talk much about or remember when she was excited about smashing the union?
No, I was just going to bring that up now.
Okay.
At the 24th minute, by the way, if people want to hear and check us on it, at the 24th minute, she talks proudly about blocking unions as a way to protect her employees and to protect them and the audience that she was looking to serve. I mean, it was some beautiful bullshit and dastardly, really. To think about that particularly as her empire is evolving in the 80s, as Reagan is crushing unions, and Reagan is helping update a world in which we have, which we find ourselves now, where unionization is at an all-time low. She's over there proudly talking about, while she's and sitting up here, to Diallo's point earlier, half a billionaire, going to sit up here and talk proudly as a Black radical spokesperson, woman no less, that blocking the unionization of her employees was good for them and was good for the listening audience that she was helping to serve. Meanwhile, she never explains, and I haven't been able to look it up either, where she got this $900,000 to launch herself with this Black venture capitalist group that has gone unnamed. Like, so what? I
just told y'all the Puerto Rican lady from the bank, her first week at the job, she got her the rest of the money.
Remember, she tried to tell that shoebox stash story.
Yeah.
And they outed her on that. Remember her? I came in as an owner. She tried to tell that lie that her first radio station, she said she was always taught, I quote, I grew up in a family where I was always taught to save. She never said I grew up in an affluent upper middle class Black family.
Right. That's right.
It's just that she was just like the rest of us, but instead of spending her dimes on weed and Jordans, she took, whenever she got a dime, she'd save a nickel. Because
what she said. So that's exactly what she said.
She said, whenever I got a dime, I'd save a nickel. So she said, by the time there was all these affluent Black men, these Black men who were established in the industry, were going to buy radio stations. And here she walked up with $10,000. And Quest was like, damn. He's like, $10,000 in the 60s, in the 70s. Like, damn, that's real money back then. You saved $10,000, and she like, and she had to back off that lie. Yeah, but they checked her. They caught her in a lie when they weren't. This was literally a worship session,
and it was an accident. That's
her Messiah mythology was even too much for her worshipers.
That's right.
But did you catch the part when they said they gave the 10,000 back? Like something happened.
They gave it. They bought her out. But she lied about she didn't save that money. She did not save 10,000. Right. She didn't pull herself up by her bootstraps. She was constructing a whole bootstrap myth that where she literally said her initial investment money in radio came from a shoebox. And it came as a result of her, whenever she got a dime, she saved a nickel. She lied. And she didn't even save up half the amount of the money. She didn't even have half of the $10,000. Only $2,000 of it came from her personal savings.
And she said also
she had already lied about that.
But she also laid out even before that, when she said the whole thing about investigating and finding the gap that was not being served, like looking around and saying, in other words, saying what exploitation have white folks not quite perfected in my community? What little bit of left lane remaining lane can I take up? Can I occupy? And she was like, ooh. And then remember, because she went into the whole thing of when she brought on Dick Gregory, and she went on the whole thing of
ain't pay him no money.
And didn't pay him because
he didn't want no money. He refused to take money. And this is when Dick Gregory was going through foreclosure and had tax liens.
Well, she says, of course, now that he's dead, she can say he told her that I was happy to do it for free because you and Hugh Hefner are the two people that saved my career. Remember that part? That was beautiful. Wild. So you up there with Hugh Hefner. I was like, hold on. But real quick, she said...
gynocentrist.
But she said, and this is perfect for setting up the clip we're going to listen to in a little bit, where she said, where she says, doing news and talk, which she conflates, is too much, costs too much, because you need a crew and you need a team. So she just said, I got in the lane of doing music. I wanted to get in the lane of doing. She said, my investors told her. To get into music. And they said the only way you can afford to do news and talk is if you do it yourself, because you can't afford to pay anybody else. And then Dick Gregory came in and did it with her for free. And that's how they got the whole thing started. I mean,
after he's dead,
she can come back and say,
I
how
made
he
him.
said,
I revived his career.
and he told me that.
Shorty, wow. Shorty is wow.
Because
But
the two of you don't remember. You two don't remember. Just before he fell in the Audubon, Malcolm was telling me, Jared, you got me here, brother. If it wasn't for you, don't worry about the dates. Don't check the math on the dates. Just remember, I'm telling you. He said, brother, I'm about to go out here and tell them, Jared, you got me here. And just so I mean, it's crazy how it's like, oh my God.
That flip flop shit. That's what Pops used to say, that flip flop shit.
But like I say, and what's most, because she's in her 70s, she's in her late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is like I said, this is not just a rebranding, it's a baton passing. Like when you were talking about the current media mogul, the bootstrap from poverty to meet billionaire, Tyler Perry is a union buster. Yeah. He refuses to pay union wages and hire SAG screenwriters and script writers. So this is what she has established. She's like, well, this old lady did some bad stuff. Her strategies and tactics for building Black media are still existing, and the new people that came up under her are employing those tactics to this day in terms of the quality and nature of the content and the behind the scenes business practices. And you see how she tried to run away from that and was like, I'm a creative. I don't know anything about the business. All the business stuff. Let's just talk about all the stories from the tour bus and backstage and all the celebrity gossip, because I know nothing about the business.
I don't know. But she knew enough at the 26th minute to say quickly in passing, hey, we got that $1 trillion out here, right, that we don't, you know, she hit that buying power joint. So yeah, but I don't know nothing about the business. I just know.
Right. Market research. All the market research she kept referring to, but she don't know. I'm just a kind. Y'all watch Futurama? Y'all
not enough.
Lames. Lame. Well, there's
that's a cartoon. That's a cartoon.
The biggest corporation is called Mom Corporation. And there's this little old lady who wears this dress and she acts like she's this nurturing mother figure when she's this corporate tyrant. She literally, like, if you don't know Cathy Hughes and you are a Futurama fan, think of Mom Incorporated, because that's exactly what it is. She just presents herself as this down-to-earth Oklahoma. She kept referring to Oklahoma. She kept, I'm just this poor Black girl from Oklahoma, never been nowhere, never. And she said, I would rehearse radio in the bathroom. And I'd get in the bathroom and rehearse radio. And that's just was my dream. And I saved every dime I got. I saved a nickel until I had $500 million.
That's that's LeBron James' story. He said he at a very young age, he learned how to save. And that's why he became a billionaire.
Oh, that's why he was driving a Hummer in middle school.
pretty much. Hey, sound like somebody.
Go ahead.
Mike, sound like somebody. Mike.
Yeah, I think it's Diallo. It's Diallo's. His whole desk is banging around. That's why. His
sorry.
Is shaking and everything.
Well, I'm out of tea, so I don't know anything's liable to happen.
And it's just making all that noise. It's crazy. I was just looking this up. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that, Richard, because going back this interview, I mean, it brought me back to a lot of stuff, including my own work. And I actually wrote about this. I don't know why some of my work on Black Agenda Report shows up under Bill Quigley, who I don't know, but you know, I don't know what's going on with the archives there, but I did find that I actually did a commentary for Black Agenda Report back in 2010 that talked about Aaron Magruder going at Cathy Hughes and accurately depicting her, exaggerating, but accurately at least depicting her as a money-grubbing corporate shill who doesn't care about Black people other than their ability to provide her with wealth and cover for her behavior. Girl boss.
You did a girl boss. That's all capitalism needs is a woman's touch.
But remember, one of the things that we pointed out, she actually mentions during the interview as a positive, but we used to call this out as a proof of our argument that this was now this is to the point we were making earlier. Now people got to understand, while you were nodding your head and rocking into all your favorite songs and at all your whatever you were doing growing up, this was the woman. This all of that stuff. This was the woman that was determining who in black music was going to get famous and marketed to black people. Mary Catherine Sneed was the program director for all of Cathy Hughes's Radio 1 stations for I can't even remember how many years, and she had taken over from another white man who was doing it before her.
She kind of looked like Cathy when she was young. That's kind of how Cathy.
Wow, maybe Cathy. Yeah. Is that why Cathy hired her? Because he reminded her she thought she was looking in the mirror. That's messed up. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Hey, but listen, I don't want to make a response. Remember when Diallo said that thing about Beyonce and me, and you was like a little while ago.
I don't remember. 2 seconds after Diallo speaks, I let it out. I can't retain what he says. I can't walk around with Diallo's wisdom in my head. I can't handle that.
I don't want to make a comment like Diallo did, so I'm trying to tread lightly. But can we talk about like?
I don't say nothing but the truth.
Listen, if I rewind that clip, man, the people in the chat was about to kill you, and you. But anyway, listen. When her being a young Cathy Hughes interacted with Tony Brown, right? I'm just going to say her being a young Cathy Hughes. Y'all can get the rest. Interacted with Tony Brown.
Oh boy.
Interacted with Dewey, right? All I feel like some of the men in her life that she was interacting with, however she was interacting with, they was kind of like they was well off. Like Tony had enough money between.
So you
him
saying
and
she
Howard.
wasn't a gold digger, but she wasn't messing with no broke.
No, I'm just all I'm saying is, as a young woman coming to Howard, and she even says she don't know why they send me to Harvard and they paid for it. They send me to University of Chicago and they paid for it. Like some people was financing the finance. You feel me? Like the money was doing and the math was mathing. So I feel like some of that stuff need to be looked into a little bit more. Because this self-made bootstrap, like like on that other panel that you was on, when her worker was like, "Yeah, we need to celebrate more people who pull themselves up by the bootstrap." I don't know. I think she had some.
Well, I mean, I think however you want to put it, the point remains. There is no such thing as a self-made person. Everybody needs some sort of hookup or assistance or some lane to run it. I mean, this again.
And there's no such thing as a benevolent capitalist.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a pro-black billionaire, or so. I totally agree with you, Doc.
Hey,
Dr.
add
Barr,
Diallo, add Diallo with all your Beyonce supporters, because somebody might disagree with you. There are some
man, I ain't scared of no peasants.
Exclusively.
Listen, peasants and serfs from the Bay High. I don't know why we act like they're such a force to be reckoned with. Let me tell you something. The peasants are only a threat to a monarch. I'm not a monarch, so I'm not afraid of peasants.
But it's the numbers that they come with. It's the numbers.
Diallo be going a little bit too hard on Beyonce, man.
They fickle. Where the Janet Jackson hide? They all don't fade away as soon as the corporate media infrastructure creates a new mega star.
Oh damn. You know, there is no after Beyonce now. Stop it now.
Oh my goodness.
Stop it. Oh, did you all see? I don't want to leave, but speaking of oh man, did you all see Shaka Khan react to her low placement on that best singers of all time list? Oh
well, was Beyonce ahead of her?
But Beyonce's ahead of her. The only two she agreed with was that 1 and 2 was Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston, and she was like, "I'm good with that." And I was like, "You can't front that."
I remember Aretha got down on Beyonce too. So,
but Beyonce was up there. They had like, of course, Adele was above her. Christina Aguilera was above her. Like I don't recall her even being on the list. I didn't even see. But Shaka Khan went in. She was anyway. Anyway, I don't want to lose sight.
Man, them damn
because we're not finished. But anyway, hold on. And then Netfa wanted
as long as Ice-T remains at the top of the hip hop list, no other list is relevant.
No, Eminem is the best rapper of all time.
Ice-T.
Everybody needs to fall back. It's Eminem, MC Search, and
Vanilla.
Everlast.
You said Neff about to come on.
That's
Bring
my
Neff
top
on.
5. Well, Netfa wanted to come on to challenge Diallo a little bit on what he was saying earlier about the police and the militarization piece, and I was asking Netfa if he could hold off so we could finish the Cathy Hughes piece and then come on. Because if that's cool, because there were just a couple other things I want, and I do want to play that Glenn Ford clip to so that people can hear how and I understand what you're saying, that it's deeper than rebranding, but I think it's important to sort of crystallize and highlight the history that she is and this podcast is attempting to wash away. But
the whole purpose of the rebranding is to allow it to perpetuate.
Well, yeah,
the only reason you rebrand something is it's because you want to continue to sell it.
Yeah,
you don't rebrand just so people have a positive memory. You rebrand so that you can continue to do the same thing and make the same false claims. This woman, like I said, it's not even Cathy. She didn't come up. These tactics and strategies and behaviors didn't start with her, and they didn't end with her. They're not going to end with her.
Oh yeah, no question.
I mean, in terms of media propaganda, she is a propagandist. You know,
oh no question. That's why she said
astute for you can have someone who has no admirations of her as an individual or her as a class of Black elites, Black wealthy Black, you can have someone like me. Even I was seduced by the story. I was even being drawn in, listening to her tell me lies, and I knew she was lying, and I was still like, you go, girl. So
I know it shook you out of your trance when she said that Radio 1 was second only to the Black church in its impact on the Black community.
Oh no, you know what knocked me out the box? What shook me back? Well, I have to give a shout. Thank you for knocking me out the Cathy hive. Was when she talked about the Cosby Show. And the impact of the Cosby Show. And when she said
she still airs it.
It's the only station that still airs, and her motivation and reasoning behind continuing to air the Cosby Show. Not only when she was pimping what's that girl's name? Wendy Williams so hard that Wendy Williams literally passed out on the mic and passed out live on the air, and she threw her out the studio and acted like she made as much money off that Wendy Williams as she could, and then literally threw her out with the garbage and pretended like she did it for her own good. I mean,
because she said, I'm a problem for HR, because I'll tell you, walk up to you and say, are you taking your meds? So I feel like there's probably a bunch of suppressed lawsuits too, by the way, walking around if she was telling the truth, because it sounded crazy when she was
but
it is wild.
So I actually look at
true mogul shit.
So on her website, you can kind of see the reports, and there's no pending lawsuit. So I don't know how that's happening, but I don't even know that.
NDAs. Remember that money mogul that slutty vegan had?
Maybe, I don't know, but that's
you can literally sign away your rights. You can sign away your Fifth Amendment rights.
Jared did that disappear thing again. See what I mean? He just like, and then he
slutty.
What kind of magic shit you got?
I may be a vegan, but I will.
You don't see me.
Hey man,
you supposed to do this first before you fade away.
I think he invented like Cathy Hughes type shit, man. What
all right, I'll give you a heads up next time. But she was saying I'm the only one to continue to air Bill Cosby's show, despite what he did was horrible. What he did was terrible. It was terrible. But because I don't want the Chinese to think that we're not capable of this level of life, of this quality of Black life.
Homegirl said that the Cosby Show was the most accurate portrayal of Black life that has ever been in the media.
Ever.
She wow.
Ever. Yeah, she did.
The most accurate portrayal of Black. That's why, that's the floor for her. There's nowhere to go but up from the Cosby Show.
That's right. And then she went on to add to that level of genius and brilliant analysis to say that Hillary Clinton only lost because of the media. And that because if it wasn't
the most qualified.
More qualified than Bill was her standard, by the way.
Neoliberal capitalist.
Yeah.
You're talking. Here's the thing.
You talking about Hillary who got off the plane with Sinbad and was ducking the bombs and shit? That's the Hillary you talking about? She
The Hillary that was going to put how many hundreds of thousands of dollars at least in Cathy Hughes' pocket running those Democratic Party campaign ads.
And she was going to bring super predators to heel. And like I said,
one of the last articles the late great Ron Walters wrote was just as I think Obama's campaign, first campaign was evolving or bubbling. And the point of his article was that Obama was disrespecting the black press by just assuming he had the black vote and he wasn't coming through the black media and sprinkling all that money that they used to get from every other Democratic Party campaign, specifically Hillary's. So they're all very well, that point can't be lost, that Cathy Hughes is sitting there saying, you all voting for Trump cost me, X amount of dollars. You all not supporting Democrats to the extent that you need to cost me X amount of dollars. And I like Hillary because Obama, didn't have to pay. Now, she didn't say that, but that I think was the underlying, I took that as the underlying message there. So anyway, I mean, it was a wild ride, and all the praise, just for me real quick, and all the credit she's taking for the prominence of people like Michael Eric Dyson, Steve Harvey, Tom Joyner, who else did I write down here? Mary Catherine Sneed, Bill Cosby, that she takes all this credit. She was even taking credit for Stevie Wonder's. I mean, she put out, and now this I thought was deep. She put out she's the producer of Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday song.
Rendition. Yeah. Happy
and nothing will get you a harder, quicker copyright strike.
Oh, she don't pay the artist.
I played that song on Dr. King's birthday. I was on the radio here, local radio here, and I'm like, oh, it's Dr. I paid literally 5 seconds of that song. And the corporate gods descended on me with lightning, the copyright god. She's a snitch. That's it. That's all. She's a snitch.
Hey,
she ran.
But that is
did y'all hear her Suge Knight moments when she was like, "People don't leave our station. Like only way they leave it is they retire."
Right, but but stay there for a second because she was first of all saying that her production of that song is, first of all, she was wanting everybody to be reminded that when you're singing the Stevie Wonder song at your favorite birthday or whatever, your little gathering, you're really singing a song I produced, and it was a tribute to Dr. King. And she did say it was one of the most beautiful things that Stevie Wonder has ever written. But it was also her way of saying, this is my activism because I was supporting getting the holiday pass, the federal holiday pass. That's why we did that song as a protest against the government not giving Dr. King a federal holiday. So she was, again, to your point, Diallo, in terms of rebranding what is to be acceptable for today. When I heard that, she is rebranding what is meant to be an activist, getting a federal holiday for Dr. King and producing a song that is, if you want to call it a protest song, okay, but the song itself is just a beautiful birthday tribute and so on and so forth. But in other words, that this is the extent of radicalism. This is as far as you need to go. Couple that with some black business, and we're all set. Anyway, what was that comment? I missed the comment. I was trying to stay focused and not lose my train of thought. What did Ricky say?
Ricky said you got to pay to do the regular sing the regular happy birthday song on air too.
Yeah, and that one had also that. I actually think that copyright was turned back over to the public domain, though. I think that part ended.
Somebody did try that. No, that song is public domain. You can sing happy birthday, post it. The original
that is still more or less a recent thing, though. They did have to win an argument, a fight over that in the last decade or so. But the point still is,
well, they paid $14 million for that
okay,
song.
All right.
Happy birthday.
So then that would be my point. Right.
That's public domain. We own it. Socialism. Viva la revolution. The revolution. We got something for the people. So whenever y'all say, what have revolutionaries done for y'all? We got happy birthday put in the public domain.
Damn.
Socialism works.
But Cathy Hughes, but my point though is you're right. But Cathy Hughes is that it has always just been the Black parallel to what exists. So that's why she would put a copyright on her song and make sure you can't. And then she would be out here promoting it, not only to keep the song in rotation, et cetera, and so forth, and get copyright, whatever, but also to, I think, suggest that this is revolution. This is what you need right here. And this is why you got Questlove up here and this crew up here praising me. But if we can I play this clip real quick? It's about 6 minutes of this panel that is linked in its entirety in the, but it's Glenn Ford, and it's Glenn Ford doing his thing. And if I can, let me just come, so I don't remember exactly how this thing got put together, March 8th, 2007. For a time, I don't know. I don't, and I don't know exactly why. Anyway, for a time, Glenn and I rocked a lot together. And I would often I was often, one of his, I think, one, like a stan or like a promoter, like the hype man. So like when people would start talking about race and media, or they would start talking about this and that, and I would always be one who would be saying like, but are you reading, Glenn and them? Are you da 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 da? So I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know if it was through Todd's connections that made this arrangement, through mine or Glenn's. But what ended up happening was all three of us were, with those two being on the panel, went to this thing that was housed in downtown DC, NPR's, DC studios, and in an in-house thing. So if you listen to the whole thing, sometimes you hear chatter and some background noise. It's not me or the panel. It's actually NPR's in-house whatever studio listening in, and I don't know what they were doing. And there was some confusion at one point. But Glenn, Todd, Tashima Walker, who is now since passed on, who was a Radio One program director of some sort of admin, and then Allison something, I can't remember her name, a journalist, was another one of the panelists. And then if you end up hearing the whole thing, you end up hearing Lee Michaels, who is Tashima Walker's boss at Radio One, and another one of her bosses at Radio One. They end up like doing the very stereotypically male dominant thing of sort of inserting themselves to take over for her because they didn't think she was doing good enough at defending her, their operation. And then at the very end, I do
Diallo the place. Diallo the place up.
But I remember, so what I do remember vividly was that I was like, I'm not
a verb.
He Diallo the place. I promise.
I have always, I was always very clear. If Glenn and Todd were in the building, I didn't, and these were the topics specifically, I was like, I don't need to speak. I don't need to be on the panel. I'm happy to be in the back. I don't know exactly how I did it again, but I just made sure I got the audio. But after hearing, so what we're going to hear here is just this little piece from Glenn, but after this, people can go check it out later. You hear Lee Michaels, they all start responding and jumping in. Tashima's not doing a good enough job. And they start spinning these webs of lies and lies and lies and lies. Yeah, I got upset. I'm not going to front. I was a little younger then. I was a little, but a little less, but it was really irritating to be in the room with these fools. I've always struggled with that. I cannot, you can't just stand here and be running these lies like that. Anyway, so I'm getting amped up. I'm getting mad again. So let me just run this. So that's why I was glad we got this. So let me just play this little clip because this is exactly, it's plain, but this is exactly what that Cathy Hughes thing is there to negate.
Powerful disc jockeys who have these nationally syndicated shows. Like you said, the majority of Black people are listening. This is where they're getting their news from and their information. What about the responsibility?
Well, first of all, they're not getting news. News is not talk. Talk without news is uninformed talk.
Thank you.
Right now, that's
Lars.
you really must understand that, because I hear constantly news and talk used interchangeably.
Right.
When I know for a fact there is no news on Black radio.
Exactly.
Not on Radio 1. There is no news. There is a lot of talk. Todd was talking about WLIB and its relationship to WBLS. An important point here was that when much of the talk and some news actually went to WLIB, the small AM station, WBLS, all right, the flagship station, continued to have a full-time news crew. That was the moneymaker, but you had regular spot news. A corporation has a news commitment, is serving that community, not when it has off to the side an AM station in which all these talk shows are crowded and but no news. All right.
Right.
But when it's money-making stations, the stations our people actually listen to, have regular newscasts. All right. The ghettoization within a ghettoization of talk and then still no news does not satisfy the bill.
And see, that's the beginning, as you know, Glenn, of the more music, less talk movement, because that was done by radio programmers who created this thing called urban radio, which was a way to de-racialize and therefore depoliticize Black radio. And that was done purposely.
Yes.
That was not accidentally done. That was done as a reaction of the development of Black political socialization from Black radio.
And I want to make another thing clear that only older folk will remember, and that doesn't make us smart. We just still here. There were in 1973, and you were talking about three part-time people, and I'm convinced of your personal commitment to doing news. I really am. In 1973, in Washington, D.C., we had a Black radio press corps of 21 people, all from just 3 Black-oriented stations. WOL, where I was, 5 people. WOOK, our competitor, 4. And WHUR, 12. All right.
Wow. And by the way,
more people than are on this side of the room. I mean, we were a press corps.
That's fabulous.
Right?
By the way,
that did not count all the other Black folks working for white radio and white television and all that.
Just 10 seconds, because and a lot of those people were correspondents for 3 national Black radio news networks: NBN, National Black Network, Sheridan Broadcasting Network, and Mutual Broadcasting Network. So you had that local national thing you're trying to put together. That's been done before, and we need to go back to the people who have done that in order to set that up. Because Mumia was a reporter for Black radio in Philadelphia, but he also was a reporter for National Black Network. He was a Philadelphia correspondent. I just wanted to add that in to just show that power that we used to have.
Now, I also want to point out that in 1973, there were only 30 Black owned stations in the entire country. So this explosion of Black news had nothing to do with Black ownership. I really want to make that clear, because there's a myth out there based in no fact at all that somehow spontaneously Black ownership leads to more serious services to the Black community. It does not. History shows it does not.
Right.
However, back in 73, we all assumed that it did. I didn't, but everybody else did. And so Black people's political capital, since we already had our Black news, and I guess we assumed we always would, put all their political capital into ownership based on the assumption that with increased Black ownership, we would get more better news. Instead, what we got was the same thing we get in terms of news from white corporations, which is none. And I'm going to, now we're running out of time. I just wanted to shoot my big shot here. At media reform conferences, which are mostly white things, and that's sad. The devil is Clear Channel. All you have to do at one of those media reform gatherings is say Clear Channel, ooh, 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 you know, that's it. All right. And Clear Channel deserves to be the devil. But in Black America, The biggest footprint in terms of corporate ownership and no newsness is not Clear Channel, which owns only about 51 Black-oriented stations. It is Radio One, which owns 69 Black-oriented radio stations. And in terms of news, Clear Channel's policy and Radio One's policy are identical. All right. So I have a big battle going into these media reform conferences, trying to get them to attach to put as much emphasis on the corporatization, the consolidation that exists in Black radio as they do in white radio, because that's a form of racism. The predominant position in media reform is that Black radio needs more Black ownership, and I think Black radio needs some. Not more, because we don't have any. Some news more than more Black owners.
That's it. I mean, that's why. I mean, you know, rest in power, Glenn Ford, the GOAT. I mean, and we used to be at. I mean, I used to rock with him at all those media reform conferences, and the same. It was bananas to see so much of what he, Bruce Dixon, and to a lesser extent myself predicted be right about where that conference and those set of conferences were going, and the figures there, like Amy Goodman and all of them. Like, I mean, it's wild. And then for him to be so on point about what's happening with Radio One, or the history of Radio One, especially now that it's coming back with this rebranding, and there he is saying Black ownership. We had 20 Black-owned stations and a press corps of 21 just in DC. And now Cathy Hughes by herself has 68 stations, and I think she said in the podcast is 100 and some. She's got the lion's share, but there's like 100 and some overall Black-owned, and none. There is no press corps. There is no Black. You know, with all the ease of social media and new technology, there's nothing akin to what Glenn was talking about there. So,
right.
Anyway,
so I mean, I wish for us to get to, like, she didn't talk much about the FCC and then the different laws that was passed, because it seems like they were stressing the ownership so much that I own this and I do this and we have freedom here, no limitations here, as if like there's no such thing as the Telecommunication Act. As though
they mentioned the Telecommunications Act. They just didn't mention it in the context of it allowing her to build her empire. They just you know, they didn't mention it in the context of it. So that's why it was interesting that she took a shot at Bill Clinton when he's the one that paved the way through that act to allow her to consolidate and buy up all that stuff. And then she also doesn't talk about that what I had looked up was that $900,000 she got later on from some Black venture capital group that is still undefined, or as far as I'm aware, unnamed, that allow her to buy up more stuff. But I mean, anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Can we speak to her assertion that she hired Black people and gave more and more Black people jobs and opportunities?
Well, we already showed you her program director.
So are you talking about the 900,000 or the 450,000 from syndicated communications? That's what you're talking about?
No, I don't have it in front of me. I'm talking about something that I was reading earlier that was just talking about. It said 900,000 from a Black venture capital, and I had done a couple of clicks and didn't find it. So I mean, I'm not expecting that, you know, I haven't done exhaustive research on that subject. I was trying to look around, but
I think it says CENTCOM principals. Her Wilkins and Terry Jones initially asked her about her business plan, and Hughes said she don't have a plan, and she was embarrassed about that. So I think it's the 900. They were the Black African American owned venture capitalist firm invested in her media, and it was her Wilkinson's and Terry Jones. They was a part of CENTCOM, and that's who actually gave him 450,000, because she and her husband already had 100,000 in their savings account. and they invested the rest. And then obviously she had to go to, again, the Puerto Rican lady, her first week on the job, loaned her the $600,000 from a chemical bank corporation. So
Chemical Bank.
yeah.
That's referenced by Method Man.
Bing, bing.
All I need is Chemical Bank to pay the rent. Boom. Is it real, son? Is it really real, son? See,
Well,
y'all,
I mean,
y'all don't know.
Urban One. I thought it was Radio One, but they're on the NASDAQ. I mean, you can buy shares now. They're a publicly traded company.
Yeah,
it's only $24 a share. So
that's what the lady was saying. Oh, you the first black woman to go public. You don't remember the little fangirl was saying that. So yeah. So if y'all want to invest, earn your leisure.
Seems a bit extended though. Wow.
Y'all want to invest?
46 million in revenue, 841,000 net income.
Bitcoins and black media.
Whatever.
Okay. Well, good luck. Anyway,
black capitalism.
I just lost track. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So how do you get, I guess, people with not so much of a critical analysis to be engaged with who Cathy Hughes is, how she's interacting? Could it be possibly like you can speak to artists and see how people feel about artists getting paid in royalties, how she's stopping artists from getting royalties? She's paying the corporations and the big execs, but the artists don't get their royalties. And something like that can kind of like lead into why she's exploitive. I know Diallo said we want to say fuck the whole police, but there's certain things that can get people emotionally connected.
Oh, wait a second. So just real quick, but I'm sorry, but before that, I forgot because I quoted her in my book, because when she came, I forgot she spoke to our graduating class in 2007, and she said Radio One is Black Power.
Oh wow,
that's a direct quote. So so in part to answer your question, this is this is what I struggle with most directly in the classroom all the time, that the people, not her specifically, but the people that she has helped promote and make famous, if they're not seen as full-blown idols or superheroes, they're just people that are more or less to be listened to and enjoyed. So when they say things like invest here or buy that or don't unionize or vote for Hillary, or when they say things like that, and I walk into the room, it takes a while to sometimes break through. That's why I was saying, referencing the BAT presentation earlier, if I want to see how the students actually react to seeing Brandon Scott pictured there, or even Obama at this point. Is still sometimes difficult for people to burst the bubble. So that's what I think. That's why I am always, when I'm criticized for this is my main reason for why I am so critical of this class of Black people, because they present and provide that initial barrier that the people I'm trying to teach and build with have to break through. And it's very difficult. And they're carrying very white supremacist, conservative, capitalist ideas wrapped in some sort of Blackness and pride and excellence and womanhood and this and that. And it's like, damn. Yeah. And it's like,
well, here, this is what I call, cosmetic culture. You got Blackness without Black ideology. They have a full-on white ideology. They have a capitalist and even imperialist ideologies and modes of operation, but they're Black. So, and I argue against this all the time, because we got so much Blackness without Black ideology. There's no Black agenda. And to mention Brother Ford, there's no Black agenda and there's no Black ideology. It's Black people doing cracker shit, more or less. And for some reason, we've pretty much acquiesced to that. We do capitalism. And even earlier in the show, you guys said jokingly, but I hear this all the time, well, white boys do it. You'll talk about Obama's atrocities across the globe in his presidency, and people will say, well, white president's been doing this, so as a defense. You'll criticize Cathy Hughes, and people will throw white conglomerates, white CEOs, and white capitalists up. Well, they've been doing it. Now the sister's doing it. It's a problem. So this is something we've run into where pretty much ideology, Black people, we went through our own purge where the Black left was obliterated through assassinations, through deplatforming. Black leftist ideology has been obliterated. And so now we have Blackness represented by Black capitalists, Black reactionaries, and they put on the same red, black, and green. I think Khalid Muhammad talked about this before he passed. Now, it was a time where we could look at the old Negroes and they would denounce Africa, they would denounce Blackness and Black symbols, but now the Uncle Toms are the ones playing the drums, wearing the red, black, and green, calling themselves Che Guevara, and wearing the trappings of the Black Panther. You got Beyonce with a Black Panther cosplay at the Super Bowl. So this is a very, very serious thing, a menticidal situation where we have all this Blackness with no Black agenda and no Black ideology, which Cathy Hughes
he said he's
worked for decades to make sure that no true Black ideology gets out on the airways.
He said he's Che Guevara with blank on and he's complex, Diallo. Give him a break. He said he's complex. So you missing his nuance.
Yeah. Nuances.
Just speaking of some of this, and we heard Todd mention Mumia. This is an upcoming event, just in case people aren't aware, March 11th. And if for no other reason, Cornel West again.
West is in the building. Mr. West is in the building.
He's redeemed himself. He has redeemed himself. I used to call him Cornel West, but now he's back to being Cornel.
Damn.
Oh, so people can't redeem themselves, Diallo. Good to hear that.
Remember when he got the United African Movement kicked out of the slave theater? Who said they couldn't?
We can't let that go. We can't let that go. You
Message.
Does this thing work?
I'm back to Cornel, but Cornel went hard in the paint against Obama. I think he only went at Obama's neck because he didn't get a cabinet position.
He didn't go that hard at Obama. Because I that was the one time I remember disagreeing with him directly. Like I got to talk to him about it.
One time, that's the only thing he's done.
No. The one time I got to talk to him about it.
Oh.
And because he was saying, I got to support the brother. We got to get him in, and then I'm gonna be his biggest critic. And I was like, well, that defeats the purpose. Who cares? Once he's won, who cares if you criticize him? He's already there. The point.
I think criticism matters after they're there. I don't think we go home.
It's gonna get no.
Elections.
He didn't say sit down. He just say you're gonna be drowned out by the media apparatus. Like it's almost too late at that
anyway.
Point. Yeah,
but if you don't demand something in advance, but if you don't demand something in advance before your vote, why would you expect to get it afterwards? It's insane. And by the way, again, we're now after 8 years of Obama, and I've been proven correct. So the point is, that's anyway. It just didn't make any sense, and I'm right. And that's, I mean, obviously.
But anyway, let's highlight some of the people who were dropping some coins over there.
I saved them. I got it all saved. I didn't miss the super chats. But while we're doing that, I've again sent the link. I don't know if you still want to come on, but first of all, people in the chat, calm down. I don't know why Netfa needs to be here so much. Second of all, Netfa is always welcome. And thirdly, if he doesn't show up, it's never because of me. But ZZ Lion Dad, thank you very much for the super chat. Tom Joyner still does cruises last I checked.
Damn.
Wow. Damn.
And we should go on one. We should go on one and we could critique him on the cruise.
I'm too cool for that.
Could we do
Y'all go ahead and go. Y'all
could we do an earn your liberation
cool.
from the deck? Live from the deck?
I think we can do it. No, I think we could do it.
What you mean you too
I'll
cool?
be sitting
Diallo?
here in my sanctuary, my little plant sanctuary.
Well,
Y'all
you can bring a plant on the boat. Just chill out. Bring the plant on the boat and shut up and let's just
go
do
ahead.
It.
They can't thrive in
this
salt
wasn't
water.
a super chat, but I did my bad. Questlove was over for me once the Roots was on Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, me too. I'm with you on that.
Don't be like that.
you on that.
Get a drummer.
Kenyatta, thank you for the super chat. No, this is the one time I want to be like, give the drummer nothing. Don't give the drummer a damn thing.
Give the drummer nothing.
Give him nothing. Thank you, Kenyatta.
I just
Diallo's
want the
cousin.
Afro back.
Thank you. Good to be
No, it's
back.
fun.
Good
You
to
know,
be
I
back.
get Kenyans attack me every day online. I get emails from Kenyans all the time.
Why? What you supposed to do?
They hate Jomo Kenyatta, and they
Oh.
think that I'm somehow giving reverence or praise to Jomo Kenyatta or the Kenyatta political legacy. And so they always informing me. But, you know, Kenyatta is my government. It's on my birth. It's my middle name. It's not my last name. And I'm like, take it up with my father. Because,
right,
you know,
the sins of the father.
Right. I'm like, I didn't like, they think I named myself. Like, I went through a book of African names, like, I'm going to be Kenyatta, which I have mad respect for that. Get your black name if you got it. We don't want to be, but yeah.
Thank you, Esbaros. And we agree. Goya is banned in this household. Goya got banned in this household for sure. So right on. The Latin, look, if anything, there is. Look, I don't want to suggest that there's an exact sameness of experience, but there are certainly things that Latinos should be paying attention to in terms of Black history and getting ready for. Everything from the buying power mythology to the presentation of that history to the promotion of certain spokespeople. It's a mess. Following a very similar blueprint. But anyway. Thank you all for the super chats, and thank you, Kenneth. Much respect to BPM. Much respect to you, Kenneth. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you all again continuing to support the platform, and of course, most importantly, doing everything you can to keep Kamau, off the streets. And but so continue to support Black Power Media in however you can. Financially, and if not, just like, share, subscribe. All right, fellas, anything else? What else we want to get to? I'm in no hurry particularly, but and I know we got a couple other stories we wanted to get to, unless there's anything else with Cathy Hughes that we need to wrap up with.
I mean, I think wrapping up with at least the FCC control of or constraints, because even on the website she talked about how, I mean, I guess in a way that the FCC could deplatform her at any time, and she had to pay these different fees to even to keep the license going. So just like the control, the idea of ownership and control, because it's kind of like what Roland was talking about last week. All of their money comes from advertisements, and then they still have to be in line with the FCC in some type of way. So,
but the FCC, that's nonsense. The FCC has no the pathway for the FCC to pull a license is murky at best.
And they never do it though.
And they never do. So I say, yeah,
never happens. At most, you'll get a fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this idea,
I for one, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just going to say they don't even have the capability of oversight without specific complaint. So it's not like they're out here monitoring like we understand the general surveillance. Complaints have to be sent in, and then there's a whole long process, and then they don't have any. They don't have any. They can make recommendations. I can't think of the language I'm looking for, but they don't have this. In other words, she's fronting. There's no threat from the FCC to losing your license. Without some sort of massive abrogation of her role or her task or her goal or the function of rate. I mean, but I'm struggling with the language right now, but it was not a threat. It was not a real threat. It's another one of those red herrings that she could throw up, just like using her past and humble beginnings and all of this,
right,
as
to
a defense
suggest
mechanism.
That what she's doing on the airway is somehow a threat to the establishment,
right?
When it's actually an absolute asset to the establishment.
Exactly.
Cathy Hughes and her ilk, her predecessors and descendants, Black capitalists, Black moguls, are anti-African propagandists and anti-African propaganda. And she said on the show that it is not profitable to inform the community.
That's right.
It is not profitable or feasible to put out media that is informative of the community. And her very definition of upliftment is increasing Black people's engagement with this capitalism and increasing Black individual consumption capacity, making us greater participants in the omnicidal system of global white hegemony and capitalism. You know, it's a dead end street that they're trying to accelerate our participation in and full engagement with the system that we should be in full revolt against. And dude wanna and where's this guy who wants to demilitarize the police? Who wants to get hit in the head with wooden baton? Wants to go back to wooden batons instead of telescoping metal.
Here you go.
Because dude wanna
I'm up there reading dealing with the real comment. He talk about his model minority thing, and that's mainly because the U.S. practice botanical sexism, and most Latin communities they have trees that provide foods and stuff. So
this is first of all, wait. First of all, stop. First of all, again, just like my new routine, we got to start here. What is your evidence and data for that claim?
Yeah. That's true.
Because that's I'm not chasing that.
I mean, come ride with me to the west side of Chicago. I think the Latino community would love to hear this good news. They would love to know how together they are. So come on with me to the west side of Chicago, because nobody told the Latinos in the west side of Chicago how together they are and how great.
And they haven't told them in Langley Park in Maryland either, or anywhere else. I mean, come on now, we gotta go to
y'all together. Did you know that you was together? Latin America. More together. Did you know how great Latin America doing?
Yeah, it's so please, if you look, I did a quick response video to it about this Asians in the business in the Black community. Please check that video. I mean, or let's extend that conversation maybe here at some point, because these comparisons Black people need to do with these groups really have got to stop. They've really got to stop. First of all, we don't even know what other communities are doing. We don't have a clear understanding what other communities are experiencing. And too many of these mythologies, circulating dollars, Asian businesses, Latinos are all perfectly unified and taking all of our jobs. I mean, this is all insanity. And so I've and it really is working.
And the white man gets paid off of all of that.
And that's a revolutionary statement. And
Kanye's revolutionary.
Yes,
Kanye is revolutionary. But it starts with what is your evidence and data for that? And then it starts to dry up pretty quick. Now that Kanye's back with Adidas, now you're about to see the revolution coming, Diallo. So get ready with all your apologies. Didn't I see he was linking back up with Adidas? You were about to owe a whole bunch of apologies, Diallo. So
is he back with Adidas?
I thought I just saw that was announced. He was back linking up with them. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that. I haven't looked into it.
I'm still seeing Yeezys everywhere I go. Everybody's still rocking them Yeezys. So I wouldn't be surprised. They said they had billions of dollars of Yeezy inventory ready to ship, warehoused, and they didn't know what to do with it. So,
there were, I don't know what you all want to get to. Diallo, did you want to get to your climate crisis situation? There are a couple things
I want to see this dude that want to come and challenge me. Where are you at? That's why.
Netfa. What happened, Netfa? I don't know. Maybe he got busy. Netfa is busy. I'm gonna put the link in the chat again. If Netfa wants to join us here, but yeah, anyway, I don't know what's happening with that. And Geechee's am I the only one seeing
running
this?
out?
Is Geechee struggling over there?
That's what he get. Been talking too much. They free Geechee.
Yeah, I know. Netfa's actually out here working.
Crazy.
Anyway, while we do that, I don't know if there were a couple things. I don't know. Do you want to get to anything while we're waiting? Do you want to do any of the other stories that we were talking about? Geechee's internet is struggling. He'll be back when he can.
Since Mitch McConnell,
Oh Lord.
I don't think you paid proper reverence. Mitch McConnell fell down in a discussion with a concussion at a party, at a hotel party, and CPAC. And what's coming out of CPAC in the fascism coming out of CPAC? Did you watch or hear any of the CPAC
I didn't.
conservative conference?
But I've fallen down at a hotel party before, so I can't get too
me.
mad at that. I can't. You never fallen down, stumbled over
Nope.
or something at a hotel
I've been
party?
sober all my life.
Oof. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Yeah, I have not.
Yeah.
I have.
But
not.
I drink wine now that I'm a man of a particular age.
Right.
I've taken to drinking red wine for my health and longevity.
There it is.
Antibiotics and what they call those photothalons, whatever that stuff. Yeah, all that mess.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, hey, now you sounded like, I don't want to get it, but that sounded mighty French. Now you're doing what the white man is doing.
Really? Red wine is French?
The French are supposed to have this elevated health and blood circulation and heart condition because they drink wine.
Oh, that comes from colonizing half the goddamn world and stealing resources. When your whole country is a little backwater nowhere.
Well, their euphemism for that is drinking
stolen
wine.
Wealth. So I ain't done none of that. Shoot, I wish all they did was just drink wine. The world would be a better place. But what's curious as hell is that the Republican Party is going overtly and full on fascist, and so many prominent black thought leaders are fully embracing the fascism in order to protect them from the woke agenda. Oh, how we not talk about
the court's top thought leader?
Which side y'all on with the Will Smith versus Chris Rock beef has been, reignited, and everybody's taking sides.
I'm on the side of the audience, and I'm mad at the fact. What bothers me most is that Chris Rock wrote an hour of boring, middling comedy just so he could call Jada Pinkett a B. And I'm not on anybody's side. I want quality work. If you're gonna swing on somebody, I want Chris Rock off his feet. If you're gonna tell a joke to get back at Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, I want the jokes to be the equivalent of knocking me off my feet. Shout out to Stevie Wonder. I don't
like
want
Dave Chappelle does.
Do something that's funny. Even if it's wrong, that's where I'm at right now. So I don't have any elevated thought to bring to this conversation. I just watched the Chris Rock performance and was like, it's not funny, it's not funny, it's not funny. Oh, you called her a B, and then you dropped the mic like you did something. I was like, wow, okay, all right, well, that's where we are.
Like the old Negro spiritual. I'm on the side of the Lord. I'm on the Lord.
I felt Diallo in this. I want them all to lose. That's where I was.
Well, they all lose. The opening where he was talking about the anti-woke rhetoric, how these diversity hires, how many of these Negroes who wouldn't have a career or have the status that they have if it wasn't for us marching in the streets singing "We Shall Overcome," if it wasn't for black people taking billy clubs to the head and sucking tear gas, that they wouldn't be where they are today. Then they get up there and talk and denounce the struggles of the people and the techniques of mass struggle and the line that the black masses try to hold just to protect whatever little grounds, whatever favorable policies and set-asides and concessions that we got from the system. And they want to say, oh, it's just wokeism. And I really can't believe Chris Rock, of all people, came out anti-woke when his whole career has been centered around that same shit with Dave Chappelle. These Negroes forget where they come from, and they totally out of pocket. So that's what was more upsetting to me than the Will and Jada thing. But I do think that the Will and Jada conflict does expose a lot of the psychosis in the masses. Where you say you on the side of the masses, that's the worst place to be because they crazy. Because the various takes on the people who support Chris Rock and the people who support Will Smith, they all sound batshit insane. From especially this nonsense, a lot of people are talking Women's History Month, where trying to turn Will into a protector of Black womanhood and a protector of Black women's dignity and a model of Black familyhood. in his fight against the disrespect of Chris Rock. So it's a lot of madness to be sussed out in that whole back and forth.
I mean, you saying all that, but whose side you on since you asking?
I don't want him to win nothing. I'm on my side because I'm the only person who took the appropriate stance on this. And I think that Chris Rock has been a coon for the longest time. When the Chris Rock show put out that whole how not to get your ass beat by the police, and it was a comedy sketch basically asserting that Black people are too aggressive with the police, and the reason why Black people get assaulted and brutalized by the police is because we are both constantly engaged in criminal activity and disrespectful and hostile with the police. And that comedy sketch had been adopted by police training manuals all over. So when the police have their conventions, when they're training new police recruits, they play that Chris Rock, how not to get your ass beat by the police in police departments, not just in the US, but all over the world.
So basically,
And, you know,
basically, you're saying the top 5 comedians is Diallo.
I'm not a comedian at all, and I have mad respect for the comedians. But you know,
he's
the coach's top thought leader.
And then let's go to Will Smith and his protection of womanhood, and look at his business dealings with Dubai, and United Arab Emirates, and Turkey. Will Smith is going around the world as literally a cultural ambassador and tourism ambassador for countries that literally still practice slavery. They practice femicide, where African women are brought in as domestic servants and assaulted and even murdered on a regular basis in the very countries where Will Smith demonstrates on his social media, where you see Will Smith with his shirt off running on the beach and getting paid partnerships with these oligarchs, these oil oligarchs, these Islamic theocrats, and promoting that and personally enriching himself, and while aligning and promoting some of the most greatest offenders of human rights and women in particular. So both of these men are trash, absolute trash. And the fact that there's any discussion about Black dignity or Black womanhood that's centered around these two men and their interaction is absolutely disgusting.
But I thought you said you wanted to celebrate white man's history, and we was talking about Mitch McConnell. You just
I didn't say celebrate. I think we need to expose white history.
Well,
I don't think.
Right, well, let's do this. Mitch McConnell. We used to when I was organizing in Kentucky, we had this campaign called Ditch Mitch because he was just pretty much parasitic for his own family in Kentucky. But let's acknowledge the fact that this is his second time falling. So he already fall one time and hurt his shoulder. This time he fell, and he gonna be all right.
He's a boofer.
But the third time might be the charm. The third time might be the charm. So Diallo, you can set that up since you want to celebrate the white man history.
Oh, we brought it up when you was offline.
You faded out.
You totally missed that. He posted the article.
I showed.
Like I said,
no, I saw that, but I didn't know what y'all talking about.
Is in jail being treated for a concussion.
But I'm with Obi. I wanted us to do the climate change. I think you.
Oh,
what was it that you wanted?
Go vegan and dismantle industrial capitalism. Okay. Yeah, they have the strongest story. I don't even remember, man. Y'all have to remind me of the stuff.
The cyclone,
the deadliest cyclone
in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Africa has contributed the least amount of carbon to the atmosphere. Africa, as a continent, as a population, has contributed the least to global warming and global climate change, and it is suffering some of the most drastic impacts of global warming. And it has the fewest amount of resources and has the least developed climate change resilience and infrastructure. And if you follow Christian Parenti's book, Tropic of Chaos, many of the conflicts going on in Africa that the Western media tells us are tribal, ethnic, religious, are actually at their root climate conflicts and climate wars. And many of the refugees that are painted as political refugees are actually climate refugees, because many of the military armed conflicts and the political instability is now being fueled by climate change and Africa's inability to address climate change and to make itself more resilient to climate change is a direct product of ongoing colonization and neo-colonization and the misorientation and the misappropriation of Africa's resources. And not just its monetary and material resources, but its intellectual resources, where the physicians to treat the rampant climate-fueled ailments and injuries, the physicians Africa is still going through a severe brain drain. Engineers, physicians, technicians are constantly leaving the country because they can't earn a living within Africa's continent. So Africa is being ravaged by climate change, and you have cyclones that come in and a deluge of water that destroys crops, that disperses wildlife and destabilizes the country. And then the foreign aid comes in. And what they do is they bring in a bag of rice and they take out a bag of diamonds or a bag of gold or a bag of coltan and a bag of to drive everything from new battery technology to sustain the nuclear arsenal of the West. That's my intro. Now, should we get to the topic?
Yeah. So for the people who I guess other than global warming and it being man-made, do you think, or is it possible that even some of these cyclones and things can be man-created too, or it's science?
No, and I think that's really disgusting. But people talk about I've been hearing for years about this Project HARP and weather manipulation. This is not a Bond villain thing. This is an industry thing. This is about multinational corporations and their high level of emissions. I wish there was some grand Bond villain scheme, as opposed to just some sick, greedy bastards sitting in a boardroom making decisions for to increase the quarterly profits. It's nothing more than that. And I wish we were oppressed by Bond villains with grand schemes. No, we're oppressed by petty bureaucats and greedy little grubby
man, I'm glad you said that. Do you
That
know what
really
I had? Do you know what?
pisses me off. It's not as, I'm sorry, weather manipulation. It's not magical. It's not supernatural. And it's not some high tech shit. It's just basic. Your little car going down the street emitting carbon and latex and these factory producing disposable shit, single use plastics. That's what's destroying the world. Not some Bond villain type magical Illuminati reptilian overlord bullshit. Stop it.
This is not, I don't want us to leave the topic, so I don't mean to I just want to highlight this, but this point, because this is exactly why I was saying what I was saying and agreeing with you about Cathy Hughes and rebranding and about everything just in general, because this becomes that first line of argumentation that we have to work through all the time. Just Wednesday night in my class, a young, very bright, clearly thinking student was basically wanting to negate my argument by saying some form of what you're talking about here with the Illuminati and this, that, and the third. And I was saying, and then she concluded when I tried to just politely disagree, she said, her line to me was, Dr. Ball, just think about it. And I said, I started to laugh a little bit, and I was like, and I said, so after my, the initial, pain to my ego, think about what you're asking me to, I said, think about what you're saying to me, again, and I felt old, again, I felt my age, because I was like, I've been thinking about this for 30 years. And then here's my evidence and my data. And your response to me is Jay-Z and think about it.
You want to hear something you want to know something even weirder? If you notice, when there's a catastrophe in, this is how this shit works. Because I remember I was working around the Haitian earthquake a few years ago. And people are like, yeah, they did that in Haiti for the Haitian Revolution.
Yeah, that was big, yeah.
I pulled out my computer and showed the fault lines and the tectonic plates in the Caribbean, and I literally, these are educated activists, people who are engaged helping people around the world. And I had to show them how plate tectonics work and show them. But when things happen like that in Haiti and Africa, they say it's because of sin, it's because of witchcraft. And then when the red states experience a catastrophe, they say it's weather manipulation and HARP and the democratic Jewish space lasers. So when climate catastrophes happen to the unworthy people, the ungodly people, it's God's divine judgment. When the Midwest, when the Bible Belt floods, or California wildfires, God's judgment. When the Midwest, the Dixieland suffers a deluge and floods, then that's weather manipulation. So that's where those two things come up, because God wouldn't use his lightning magic powers to punish godly people. So that's obviously the satanic Illuminati.
This is thanks creative experiment, because this is the euphemism for the Jewish space elite. This is global Marxist elite. That's how you say it without saying the Jews did it.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been organizing around, and I've had to pull up fault.
But what do we do, Diallo? Because you can't keep shaming them, Diallo. Look at the comment. Shaming these folks doesn't work.
Yeah, you should. Shame does work. Didn't Marx say shame was a revolutionary sentiment? Shame works for me. It makes me feel better.
I don't remember that part.
Else.
I don't remember
that
one.
You circumvent that by educating. Like I said, you pull up the goddamn fault.
But then you go being like the white man again.
Huh? Yeah.
There you go, copying the white man again.
Well,
I do know that
Cathy
Thomas
Hughes,
Jefferson.
why won't it work for black?
That's what I'm saying. Thomas Jefferson had a line that some quote about shame being appropriate when someone's argument is garbage.
Yeah.
I don't want to credit a slave owner, but that is a pretty criticism is not shame.
Yeah,
but
I think that's important.
But shame, but shame can be good criticism, is the point that I think is being at least raised here. That I think shame can work and is appropriate at times, but no, you're right, and Coco is right in general that criticism is not shame. The same way we started calling ourselves haters once upon a time because Puffy and them were trying to say hate is jealousy. No, it's just a criticism. So I
genuinely hate though.
Oh no, I mean there are
them motherfuckers. Okay. I hate them. Sorry.
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, so y'all some good brothers. I don't want to bring y'all down.
No, but that's appropriate. Hate, as long as it's not defined as simply jealousy. If hate is actual hate, I'm with that.
No,
and
I
if
don't
hate
want
is criticism, I'm with that as well.
Right.
No, I don't want what they want either. I'm with you on that. And I have zero problem hating people. And despite some attempts by, those I've married upwards towards trying to condemn that use of that kind of language, there are people worthy of hate. I hate them, and conditions worthy of hate. I hate it. Anyway, speaking of hate, just real quick, I did want to, if I could, I don't think I shared. I don't know if I can't remember what links got shared, but let me just ask you if you all saw this, because I thought this was kind of almost funny in a sad way. Governor Healy of Massachusetts is, and I don't know how pervasive this form of response is happening, but this advisory council on Black empowerment that Governor Healy has put together just seems very interesting, and I don't know any of these people, but they seem to represent a lot of the same entities that are represented elsewhere, that in a troublesome way. So I don't know, sometimes the NAACP intervenes in a positive way. I don't know about this instance. And then, just a lot of CEOs of nonprofits, of economic business conglomerate, not conglomerates, but lobbyists. Anyway, so I just didn't know if either of you had seen or know anything about any of this, or anybody in the chat is following versions of this that might be happening elsewhere. But
it ain't nothing but a half dozen Black people in all of Boston anyway. What y'all talking about? Who lives? I don't know no Black Bostonians.
I don't know, but then got New England Blacks in Philanthropy, so maybe they're meant to.
New England ain't no Black people up there. The gangs are white. Like the biggest gang. What's that family?
Paul Pace was up there. Paul Pence was over there.
Wahlberg, Donnie Wahlberg, ain't the Wahlberg family from up there, man? Boston.
The Wahlberg family, they black though. Yeah, some of them black.
Gas.
Mark
Now-
Wahlberg.
Clutching my pearls. What? The Wahlberg, Marky Mark,
I'm
and the
joking.
Funky Bunch. Oh,
But
don't play like that.
where I do think that and the Cathy Hughes thing reverberates is in this study that I do think I did send you all. I don't know if you had a chance to really look at it. I haven't had a chance to really vet all of it. The one caveat and problem that I just have in general with a lot of these Pew reports is that they're surveys, and I'm not a big fan of surveys. I don't know how they were worded. I don't know how many really went out. I'm not just in general a big fan of surveys, but the discussion points are pretty interesting. And this one here, the tagline or the headline for me is that while the headline here says, it says Black Americans view capitalism more negatively than positively, but express hope in Black business. So as they show here that Black people are saying, the whole thing is about, we don't trust capitalism. We don't, where are my notes? Dang.
But they also said the trust for capitalism went
I gotta
down
log in.
on all race, but they specifically was focused on Black people. But it said
Right.
all
Here we go.
races went down. Yeah.
So, right. No, exactly. But the point is, while everybody, including Black people, is saying capitalism is bad, capitalism
Black
don't
business is
work.
good.
But exactly. The solution,
It's
though,
aside.
the solution, though, despite having generally pessimistic views of capitalism, nearly 6 in 10 Black adults said in October 2021 that supporting Black-owned businesses is an extremely or very effective tactic for helping Black people move toward equality in the U.S. This view is widely shared among Black adults, regardless of age and gender. So my only point in this is that, again, despite all of the data, all of the evidence going back 100+ years now, specifically, it's because of this messaging that comes from the Cathy Hugheses and the Black Economic Councils and the Earn Your Leisures and this whole ecosystem of Black capitalism that still has people, in the face of their own experience and clarity on the overall question of capitalism. No, we just need to Black capitalism a little bit more. We'll get our way out of here.
But I think it's similar to like what you said. Again, because with these questions, I've done research and I've done surveys where the questions can be kind of janky. But it could be as if, should we still support Black people? So like if we're asking to donate to this show or whatever, that's still important, right? But, capitalism doesn't work. It's still inequality. So I think they could have just asked, like, do you think it's important to support Black businesses? And they'd be like, oh, yes. Everybody said that. But I'm not sure that they're saying that's the cure to this capitalism issue. So like in the report wasn't clear to me. Or the
wording there. So again, that's why I'm saying I have issues with surveys as a methodology, because without really getting into all the details of what they did. So I don't know what questions were asked. I don't know how they were disseminated. I don't know how people were. So all I'm saying, but to be clear here, just from what's reported here, it's saying that Black people, that Black-owned business, to their respondents, is an extremely or very effective. So from extremely to very effective as a tactic for helping Black people move toward equality in the U.S. So to me, that is them saying the solution to the ills of capitalism, a system I'm acknowledging doesn't work, is to do more of it, and we will get there. That's how I'm interpreting this.
And
here.
that's
more circulating the dollar,
mixing a lot of because equality in the U.S. and capitalism, and you're talking about economic equality, political, social justice and representation, health and wellness. The wealthy
land
Blacks,
access.
Wealthy and affluent Blacks have shorter lifespans than wealthy and affluent whites. So even if we got all the money they got, there's a whole myriad of conditions for African people under white hegemony and racialized oppression that money would not solve.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Again, I don't know what it means.
I mean, didn't Serena Williams lay up in the hospital bed, damn near die giving birth? Wasn't she almost a black maternity death statistic with all that money and all that fame? And the nurses was looking at her no different than treating her no different than they treat the mothers on Medicaid giving birth in some little local hospital. So,
but that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by my criticism of the methodology. I don't know what they mean by equality, getting better,
right. Like
who they're
economic
talking to.
Equality, like the same amount of money as white folks, because we got a lot of black people with money, and we can evaluate their status and standing and the other impacts of racism. I didn't have way too many wealthy, affluent black people contact me personally talking about how badly their children are being mistreated in these elite private schools. You know, being driven to damn near self-harm in these affluent spaces. So just the money, you know, it's not enough. You know, ain't enough money in the world to bring African people to justice, as Bobby Wright said, more or less. They don't have enough money to buy us freedom, buy our freedom. But I digress.
No, that's it. I mean, that was it. And yeah. And anyway, that's all I had. I don't know anything else you all want to get to this morning.
I mean, we're gonna be accused for
is Nefa really not jumping on here?
Nefa know better.
I mean, he got more important things to do to argue with Diallo. I mean, come on, dude is organized.
What could be more important than arguing with Diallo?
But we're gonna be accused of shitting on black girl magic.
Maybe he's out demilitarizing the police.
There you go.
You know, and we just had the cops beat a man to death with their bare hands. They didn't. We just had the cops beat a man to death with their bare hands, and so we think. I'm not saying do not. I want to demilitarize the military. I'm not against demilitarization, but I'm just asserting that demilitarization will not solve the core problem. I am for demilitarizing the military. I'm for closing military bases and defunding the military. Right. I'm for all that, but not as the ultimate goal.
Nobody was arguing that, and that's what I'm saying.
There are people who do believe that the problem is that the police.
But not here, and not in that
then we're not nothing to argue and fight about. And but to me, if I'm going to put effort, if I'm going to put energy into any type of anti-police action, and all it says is demilitarize the peace, and there's so many flyers and so many efforts, so much activism and petitions that strictly say demilitarize the police, not as a component of a larger anti-police movement. That's the goal unto itself.
What do they say when you assume you do what? You make an ass out of you. You make an ass out of you and me. So you're doing too much assumption right now. You're assuming this was nothing.
I'm not assuming. I'm here.
You arguing like
I'm out here. I'm outside. I'm not arguing against Nefa. I'm talking about the ongoing movement to demilitarize the police. And like I say, first we're going to demilitarize the police. Before they were talking about police surveillance and saying that the police is expanding its capacity for non-warrant surveillance, where they were able to send drones out, and you want to de-digitize the police. Or the police are using digital technology. The police are surveying social media. We want to demilitarize the police, de-digitize the police, demotorize the police. You know what I'm saying? We want to it's the police are the goddamn problem, and whatever tools they have, or whatever tools we remove.
Asking my question: what is your evidence and data? Who you talking about? That's the point. Because the confusion here, Diallo, is that when we raise this in the context of a Black Alliance for Peace presentation, specifically addressing all that you're talking about and more, and you respond this way, it does cause some confusion in terms of who are you talking about when nobody has raised the point that you're arguing.
I'm not okay. So maybe then why people taking offense? If I'm just strengthening the argument, I suppose, because I've been dealing since I was 14 goddamn years old, dealing with police and the atrocities committed by police and imposition in the police maintenance of the status quo. And I've heard we need more black cops. We need more women cops. We need to demilitarize the police. I see people trying to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. And that all I'm saying is, if I'm not arguing against somebody, if nobody disagrees with me, then there's no problem. I'm just saying, if I say demilitarizing the police will not solve the issues of police brutality and police atrocities, because police brutality and police atrocities have been going on prior to militarization. There is no argument, right? We all agree.
So what will solve these problems is
we all agree.
Is my campaign for Hickory Ridge Village Board. So stay tuned, get ready. My political career is launching officially.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning, it begins. It's about to be on. No, it's the beginning of the end of all your problems. That's what it is. I'm about to solve everything. It all starts now.
Okay, so the next show you're gonna be on here with a certain tie with a little American flag on your.
You damn right. You damn right.
Black politician.
Damn right. Talk about Cathy Hughes is a hero.
I mean, Diallo sound like he's trying to get an interview from Radio 1. He's trying to get on Radio 1.
First of all, we all need ZZ Lion Dad's job because clearly got the disposable income that we appreciate around here in BPM. Thank you very much. Shame does work. What is the church in Western culture without shame from the Abrahamic gods? Criticism of shaming the elite is needed. The elite try to reverse it to make us feel guilty. Fact, that's parts of fact. I agree with that. I love that. And some good hate on religion. Oh, that's beautiful. That was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I don't seek to shame people, but I don't seek to defend and salve people. If you stand on and you embrace a delusion, and what I said, people calling, last week's or last show, somebody said I was Islamophobic. I don't run from that. I just stand on the accuracy. If you can't tell me whether my statement is inaccurate, but we all agree, there ain't nothing to debate. Demilitarization is a noble effort, but it's not a solution. That's all.
And in fact, I don't even know that I would describe the BAT presentation as calling for demilitarization. It's calling for an awareness of militarization as an extension of the colonial process that needs to be addressed. So anyway, plus it's very stylish. It's very well done. But yes, I am about to, but you will know how far my campaign goes when I'm asked to come on my own platform and disavow myself. That's how we're going to know.
Misleader.
Yeah. So anyway.
Vote Brandon Johnson, Chicago. That's my final. Vote Brandon Johnson.
Vote Brandon Johnson. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to let us know about? We got to prepare for anything else we want to get to? Anything? What's coming up?
Into the Bro Diallo show. People telling me I need to change the time of the Bro Diallo show because it conflicts with your show on Monday. With my show been around longer than yours, so perhaps you should entertain changing your show time.
I can't. It's not my show.
My show.
It's a platform issue. It's unfortunate. It's not my show.
You on the payroll. I'm unbossed. I'm unbossed for truly independent media. We ain't independent over here on Black Power Media. We got a Suge Knight in the form of Kalanji.
But I've made, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. But but there really is no conflict though. But there's no conflict because it doesn't matter, at least on our end, to me, it doesn't matter whether you watch our show live. So I don't have a problem with people. Yeah, or if you want the Diallo experience live, go get and then come check us out later, or vice versa. It's all good.
Because you're gonna want to tune in to Monday's show.
What's happening Monday?
I'm gonna talk about escape from blackness, or no, it's called Escape from Africa, and all these ideology and cults and belief systems.
Wait. You sound like some Malefi Asante type stuff. What you talking about, Diallo?
We only just be human.
Just a human being.
God damn, Diallo, they got you too. Trying to get the anti.
Like he said, me and Clarence Thomas, we the only two race men left in the community.
Hey,
so
yo,
I gotta
by the
hold
way,
it down for the race men.
By the way, that was some misreporting on Sean Kemp. They say he didn't do a drive-by shooting.
He shot back in self-defense.
He was shot. Yeah, he was self-defense. So
man, these goddamn ball chasers. But you know that Jay Marmon thing, right? Is it not his constitutional right to bear arms?
Who that?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
John Morant. You talking about John Morant?
Oh, John Morant.
Is it not his constitutional rights? Are these ball chasers so owned and controlled by these ball chasing organizations? that
But
they
what
can't
exactly
even
did he
engage in
do?
constitutional. He held a gun up on Instagram.
A little gun.
Oh, on the
That
live.
was
Yeah,
kinda-
yeah.
He
I don't
literally
know. I
held it
thought-
up
yeah.
like this. He didn't even.
That's how it
aim
looked. That's
like-
how big. That's how big it was too.
Right.
Like, he needed.
And he's getting like suspended and dropped from the team. Is that not that man's constitutional right to bear arms? And bear arms literally means to hold and to brandish, to demonstrate, to show and to hold.
Like Jay-Z said, like short sleeves, I bear arms.
Right. So I don't understand, man. That ball chasing world, man.
I don't know.
Explain it to me.
I don't honestly. I don't know. I heard people comparing him to my man who was in DC for some time. What was my man's name?
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas. But Gilbert brought a gun into the locker room and was pointing it at people, talking about gambling debts.
Yeah.
So I was like, that doesn't sound like that's different.
That's an assault.
No.
Yeah. Gil almost caught a couple bodies and not dunking on them too.
Yeah, that sounded like a crazy situation.
But you said Sean Kemp was shooting in self-defense.
That's what he said. Like he said somebody stole some stuff out of his car. He did to find my iPhone. And he rolled up on the cat. The cat stopped busting and he started busting back. He stayed until the police came. So they got the video of him like. So
he's blocking shots. Shooting shots.
He did the find my iPhone.
Yeah, he said, "Hey," it brought him to Tacoma. I think I don't even know if he lived in Tacoma, but to find my iPhone brought him to Tacoma, and he rolled up on dude, and dude started busting at him like. So
yeah.
Now I'm thinking
I support gun control.
You Sean Kemp, somebody stole your iPhone. I mean, you might as well eat that and buy 2 more. But I don't know if he got the bread yet.
Oh, so he called the police. Did he notify the authorities?
He's been out the league.
No, I think afterwards. I think that somebody else did after the shooting. But listen, he went to go find his iPhone. If Shaq can be a cop, Sean Kemp can be a cop. So he went to go find his iPhone.
These weirdos, man. this no snitch culture. Where does it? I don't know. Understand how it works. Seems inconsistent about snitch culture. Seems
so. Diallo, you tell me right now, if somebody stole your plants, you not gonna go find them?
No, plants grow. Plants it's like the dude said, growing plants is like growing. They grow. I can propagate. I can take this here, I can take this here and grow a whole new plant from just this stalk. So
yeah, nowadays,
I'm trying to give away some plants. I'm trying to get my son to come over here and take some plants to his apartment. I got
all you have to do is give me a way out, and you can avoid all the violence you want. Like just give me a way out. If I'm good. I'm at this point.
I ain't shooting nobody over no manufactured good. But that's what most of the guns. That's why I wish people would stop waving these guns, talking revolutions. The guns in the Black communities are to maintain what little petty status quo and what little petty class distinctions that exist in our community.
No, mine is
guns
just
in our communities are not here to liberate us.
No, my perspective on the point, at least for now, at this point, is I just want to be able to take somebody with me. That's the only thing. That's it. I don't have any illusions. I don't have any illusions of at this point.
Take somebody with you. What does that even mean?
I just like the idea that if it's not like this, it's just the idea that I think I would have the ability in a certain situation to take somebody with me if we all gotta go. It's not that we would win. I just want to get one. Like I'm just going to get one, maybe 2.
All right,
that's all. But I'm not out. But
you've been listening to Radio 1 stations for too long.
No, I don't think so at all. I have a very realistic.
Listen,
I have
you've been
a very
listening to radio. Yeah, I'm gonna just take a whip. You going with?
No, I don't.
All right, I'm going to.
Somebody got to come.
I'm going to confiscate all your Ghetto Boys albums because
the point is I have no.
I mean,
you need to detox.
It's a very
from that toxic mind state.
Man, you listen to Ice-T all the time, so Ice-T talk about
Ice-T is conscious progressive hip hop. When he talks about gangsterism, he tells people that it is not what you want. You don't want all these Lexuses. You don't want all these hoes. You don't want all this money and guns. Yeah, okay. It is cautionary tales. He talks about how terrible it is to be such a player and so wealthy and travel the world and lead a damn country just to have some fun. He says, and then it's just not what you want.
And then he bagged the white girl and became a police. Right?
Huh? Then he
bagged the white lady.
Ice Cube has a white girlfriend or a white wife.
Ain't that's the one with the white lady,
Coco,
or something like that?
Coco is an asset. He
Are you talking about
utilizes
Ice-T
her.
or Ice Cube? Who are we talking about?
Ice-T bagged the white girl and became a
He
cop.
utilizes
Right,
Coco to bring the attention because people don't pay attention.
Oh,
so I add a motherfucker so you ignorant niggas hear
Oh.
me. So he put Coco out there and you be like, wow, look at them breasts, look at that butt. And then he pushes her aside and comes with the knowledge.
Oh, it's tactical.
You
I
don't
see,
understand.
I see.
Right.
You're right. My bad. I missed the whole
Ice-T
tactical.
alone.
My bad. I thought he was pink toe chasing, but go ahead.
No.
Go off, Ice Cube.
You don't even know what's happening to you, and it's in the midst of it happening.
Ice Cube toe, Ice Cube something, whatever.
Look at that. You can. I say Ice Cube. You're like Coco. Look at that. You already your nose opened all the way up.
By the way, speaking of Bobby Ologun or Baba Balagoon is at least what I'm thinking of. You gotta in the slap. You gotta go if any of you missed it. You gotta go catch one of the recent Warrior classes where they go over the proper slap technique. So that's why I was saying if that's what I want. If you're gonna slap somebody, Chris Rock's supposed to have been folded over. You know what I mean? You know that's why I want. And if you're gonna tell jokes about Will Smith and Jada, I need it to be quality. That's all I'm saying. And if you do that Balagoon style, you don't have to. You're not all lean, but you gotta. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Anyway, that was it.
Yeah. I you kind of sound like you team Will Smith.
Me?
Sounds like you team Scientology.
Oh no.
You claim you don't have a side,
not.
but every time you mention the incident.
No, I'm saying
team Scientology.
No, you're not.
Team Red Tape.
You gotta. What I'm
Just
saying is,
admit it,
I want the quality.
Claim your
I want a proper slap, and then from Chris Rock's perspective, I want proper jokes. Chris Rock's jokes were the equivalent of Will Smith's
He's been sucking
slap.
for decades. He's been
So
whacking.
what about Marlon Wayans?
There's a difference between black people and niggas. He's been cooning.
What about Marlon? Didn't Marlon Wayans
That
say he
was
got a better
funnier than this. That's all I'm saying.
That wasn't funny.
Funnier. That
shit wasn't funny.
That routine was funnier than this, is what I'm saying. I didn't say
that
it was
wasn't funny to me.
You keep. Go ahead.
That line messed up
Chris
the whole
alone.
thing.
They can't all be Dave Chappelle.
Oh wow.
We got one Dave Chappelle. We don't need two. But I know you team Red Table and you don't want to admit it. I understand closeted fan.
First of all, I am gynocentric. We've already established that. And I watch and I need the Red Table talk to guide my whole existence.
Wait, all right, just admit it though. That's why I asked
you
what side you on, and you lied and said you weren't on either side. But now I'm glad
you're right. I've been exposed.
See,
Thank you, Diallo.
I extract. Yeah, you can't play with me, boy. I get
my name is Jared, and I'm a Red Table talker.
Got it. Now I just got to get Geechee to admit whose team he's on.
Listen, I'm on the Lord side.
You on team Chris Rock?
Oh, look, we really are. Y'all sounded really gynocentric right now.
It's them two. I haven't even watched. Did you watch the stand up, the latest one?
Chris Rock?
Diallo.
I watched excerpts.
So I
can't sit through that whole shit.
I ain't even, I ain't know. I can't do it.
I was jumping around. They should have never gave me the ability to fast forward television.
I will.
I don't watch nothing.
I will tell you that here is an actual fact. This is an actual fact.
Baltimore.
Jada, and an ex of mine used to have the same hairdresser. So there is some 6 degrees and overlap, and but just so I am Team Jada. It's all the truth is coming out now.
That's so you had the first Red Table talk at the salon.
And I was at Baltimore Friends while they were at the School of the Arts right around the corner.
All right.
And so it was between you and Tupac that got Will insecure. Okay, gotcha.
It was this close. They wrote me out of the story. They wrote me out of the story, but me and Jada, like right off camera, while they were singing poetry to each other, I was over there in the car, like, come on, girl. Hurry up.
You the real Jason from Jason's Lyric. Jared. They changed the name because they couldn't get clearance. Jared's Lyrics.
Jared's Lyric.
Okay, it's all. See, 6 degrees. See how you peel back the layers and the light shines through.
And you know what? They had Blair Underwood play me and set it off. I was the banker boyfriend. that,
So
that Jada
Diallo-
was with.
If he's the light skinned Jason Larry, you Chicago without the brush.
I don't know what you're talking about. Your references, man, be so off, man. You need
You
to
don't know
come
who
out
Chicago-
of that
you don't know who
geeky
Chicago-
backwoods. You need to
You
come
don't know
up
who
out of
Chicago
the
is with the
geeky
brush?
backwoods and get
You don't
some
watch no
up-to-date
TV,
Nah,
contemporary
Anthony, this is where Chris and I do agree. Will Smith is selective outrage. Will don't want none of this. Will don't want none of this.
He pissed people off when he compared Michael Jackson to R. Kelly.
I actually was bothered by that too, because I think Michael Jackson was innocent of those particular charges. So I do. Again, the data and the evidence.
If it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck.
I mean, okay, but if you want the specifics and the details,
R. Kelly was found not guilty as well.
But I'm not talking about I'm not talking about in the case. I'm talking about the evidence. The evidence against R. Kelly is clear. The evidence against Michael Jackson is not. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about what happened in the courtroom. So I do think the comparisons are inappropriate on that basis alone. But you know.
All right, we ain't about to
Neverland
argue about celebrities for the rest of the night.
Go look at the pictures of Neverland Ranch, the interior of Neverland.
So did you see? So there was that documentary, Leaving Neverland, and then that came out that sort of organized all of the prevailing dominant narrative about Michael Jackson. And what people didn't ever, what got less attention was the book, and then the documentary about the book that this other dude, this British dude, did. And I don't have it all in front of me right now, but I just, having watched that and read a couple of things that he referenced, it is an evidence-less argument against Michael Jackson when it comes to those allegations against the children. The ranch, the setup, his lifestyle, all of that is. I'm not co-signing any of that.
I'm going
okay,
off.
but if the charges are inappropriate, touching, and all this other kind of stuff, they're not supported, and that's all I'm saying.
I think both of y'all should look
y'all
up
some
and see
forgiving cats. Man.
Both of y'all should look up.
It's not forgiveness. It's saying what is the data and the evidence.
Hey, y'all two look up.
Its own behavior.
Look, see how far y'all falling down the hole. See,
its own I don't go off of nothing. Michael Jackson himself. I believe strongly.
That's unsound methodology, though. But that's an unsound methodology.
It's fine because we're all safe now. He can't harm us anymore. We're safe. So I guess it's a moot point because both R. Kelly and Michael Jackson can do no harm from their respective positions.
Okay.
But I would
save
not
us, Geechee.
Allow my son.
I was trying to tell a brother to look up.
Nobody said that though. This whole show, you've been making arguments against what people have not said. When did I say I'm taking my children to Neverland Ranch?
Said that you was. It sounds like you had thought about it, because I mean,
that's ridiculous.
I mean, you the one. Like, I didn't take my kids. Sounds like it's a thought that crossed your mind, because I never suggested that it was you. I'm talking about me. What I wouldn't do.
Well, then you thought about it, because then you raised it. So you're acknowledging that you had considered it.
But
go ahead, Geechee.
I looked at them pictures of those life-size models, those little boy life-size dressable and undressable, anatomically correct dolls in his house. I'm just saying, if a cat like that, he could sing. If not for that man's talent, if he worked at McDonald's, you'd be having a different discussion.
Right, and he also wouldn't have had the life that would have led him to
allowed us to overlook a lot of shit that we wouldn't otherwise overlook.
Right, and it's the abuse related to that celebrity and talent that led him to his relatively odd behavior. That's all. So if he had grown up in poor, working at McDonald's,
how do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, the argument, the outline of there's far more evidence for that than what you're talking about. Just look at his life. Look at the life he led. Look at his parents. Look at what has been said and written about his.
There's been a ton of abused kids coming out of Indiana, that poor,
and not many of them became the most famous person in the world with all the money in the world. That's my point. So if you take abused children, no, what I'm saying is if you take abuse as a child and the kind of abuse, emotional and otherwise, that would have been part of that upbringing, add to that enormous fame, add to that enormous, relatively speaking, wealth, I think you would end up with a lot of people acting in similarly odd ways to Michael Jackson. That's the point. But the reality is most people who are abused and whatnot do not have the celebrity and the resources.
And
to
we're a
build
lot
on
harder on them. We're a lot harder and less understanding and empathetic towards them.
Okay.
And that's why I say, because these people are so famous and wealthy, we tend to overlook and make excuses that if your neighbor was doing that same, you know, if you came over my house and you saw life-size anatomically correct boy dolls in my house.
I don't have a straw man, so I'm just going to hold up some paper towels.
I mean,
you can argue with the paper towels.
I don't think you be as understanding. Well, you know,
Bro
Diallo grew up in a housing project, and I can't sing, I can't rap, I can't dunk. So y'all, I can't dunk, but I can't play ball like that.
But the fact that he can
I'd
sing,
be getting the sympathetic eye and ear from the hood.
But that's the reason why you talk about him.
It's about an objective analysis. It's about an analysis versus an emotional or I don't even mean to disrespect emotion, but it's just a visceral reaction is what I'm saying.
I was sitting here with two white kids talking about my sons, you know, petting their heads like they're animals. I don't think y'all be like, oh, what has he gone through in his life? Yeah, I mean, that's just okay.
I would.
Starstruck.
No, I would. I absolutely would. After I absolutely would. That if my goal was to develop an analysis of what you were doing, I would absolutely do that. If my goal was to just crack jokes on a YouTube channel, then no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Geechee.
Y'all gotta stop giving these celebrity out.
I mean, Diallo just ran around a circle 3 times. The only reason why you talking about Michael because he's a celebrity, and then you gave Ice-T. You give Ice-T the same pass that you would give.
Now, calm down. Don't you be mentioning Ice-T in the same sentence as Michael Jackson. Now, calm it down.
Man,
it ain't about the fame for Ice-T. Ice-T just uses the fame as a tactic to draw the people in to the consciousness.
I'm gonna have to get a tape to glue my eyelids.
Ice-T don't care nothing about fame or money. He just uses those things as trappings, like as a trap, as a capture the minds and the attention of the people to awaken.
I can tell you right now, Nana Kuntu will be really mad at you right now.
My African straw man for Diallo. Shout out to
really mad at you.
Calm down.
Shout out to Dr. Hate.
Listen, the way that Diallo is celebrating a crossover, Nana Kuntu will be really extremely.
No way, man. Listen, we are Black Power Media. Ice-T made the album Power. If there was no Ice-T Power, there would be no Black Power Media. Ice-T's effect and impact is reverberating around the world. Y'all see one day. Y'all see really the treasure that Ice-T is. Hey, we're frankly unworthy of.
Jerry, you can change his subtitle to Strawman.
I don't know if I can do that, but
spell scroll with a K too. Put the K in there so you can do the Geechee style. The scroll man.
No, I'm just gonna what I was gonna do is just set up is this
there go Nefa right there. Oh,
there we go.
Nefa might be back.
He can argue. He can argue with that.
That's on your profile, not mine.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But that's who you want to argue with. You're not arguing with me. So there you go.
I'm not arguing with anybody. Why would I say something? It's arguing. Y'all make statements all day, and it's not arguing. I say, water is wet, and you were like, brother, what about the dry ice? Y'all act like everything I say is adversarial.
Where's Nefa?
Hey,
did he get the link?
Nefa, we just put the link in just again.
When y'all say stuff, it's not automatically adversarial.
Diallo, you come with an adversary on your chest when you start saying stuff. You shooting at everybody.
Y'all just not accustomed to alpha male energy. Y'all not accustomed to Ice-T alpha male energy.
Gynocentric alpha male.
But don't be threatened by it. It is a protective energy. It is an encasing protective energy.
Diallo,
adversarial vibration.
Diallo, you know when people get up in their age and they start just arguing that shit, they just yelling and shit. That's kind of where you at right now, bro.
Okay.
You need to drink more tea.
Yeah, that's why, and that's a big problem in our community, discounting the wisdom of the elders. And I am out of tea. I need to come up here with 2 teas.
Stop discounting the wisdom of the elders.
If he wanna go there, I live out there, so don't go there.
Hey, wait, Nefa say he coming, man. Hey, Diallo, they say you need a. He looking for
I
the
don't
link.
eat Snickers.
Do you need a
That's
Snickers, man?
that's pork. That's dairy.
Ain't
I
no
don't be
pork
eating
in
no
no
pork
Snickers.
and dairy.
Ain't no pork in no Snickers.
Yeah, it's pork in there.
What's in there?
You never read
There's
Shahawaz
dairy in
Ali's book, How Not to Eat Pork.
I mean, I don't eat pork, but I know.
Oh yeah,
Did
you
you-
eating pork if you eat Snickers.
I don't eat
Did
Snickers,
you-
but I'm saying I don't think no pork in there. I know there's
There's
pork
pork in there.
and gummy bears.
You would
Get
would
off the
read
swine and get refined. You act like you're blind and you lost your damn mind. Get off the swine, Geechee.
Hey, we shouldn't eat pork for the main reason that pigs have the intellect of a 3-year-old human.
There go
So-
Netfa. Let's go.
So, and rats are smarter
It's
than
time to
dogs
go. We're
too.
going off the air.
Nah. We gonna let him hammer his point home and send you off packing. Even though you done conceded.
Thank you,
to
McGee Meister. I don't know exactly what that means, but thank you for the super chat. Netfa.
What's up, Netfa? What up?
Netfa.
Hey, what's up? So
Diallo already apologized and conceded to you. He already apologized and conceded to you, but I still need you to kick him while he's down.
I have nothing to
I
apologize.
have an assertion to make. Let me
Kick
make
him
sure
while you down.
I got my right microphone.
Oh,
Is
you
my
on?
right
It sounds
microphone
good.
hooked up?
Yep.
It sounds good. Okay. So I have an assertion to make. My assertion is that no one is saying that the militarization of the police is causing police brutality, and no one is saying that if we get rid of militarization, that everything will be solved. No one's saying it.
We've settled
That's my
that.
assertion.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Then we agree.
No, I thought you were saying that. That's what people were saying.
Yeah, there are people who
Did you
truly
say
believe that. There are those.
Na-
I'm sorry.
name-
I didn't
believe
say
it.
no names. I didn't say that,
I
but a lot of
disagree.
people believe that the problem is
I don't believe.
the problem
I don't believe that anybody
is
believes
the
that.
problem. Definitive argument. The problem or definitive article. The problem is the militarization of the
Name-
police.
name
Everybody
names.
knows that, and I'm just saying what everybody knows. Where's the conflict?
Oh, it's no conflict, but
Well-
you just said that everybody doesn't know it. You said that
Well,
everybody
they know it
there are
now,
those
right?
who believe it.
You don't believe that, right? So, what will
But
the
some people do, and
demilitarization of the police
you said
actually
some people
accomplish
do,
for us?
and I'm arguing that nobody does.
Okay, fine. Nobody does. You say nobody. So if I can find one person that says yes, the
Then I stand
militarization of the
corrected.
police
Then I stand
will
corrected.
demilitarizing the police will mitigate or end police brutality.
Diallo, you're on record for saying a lot of people, so you can't find one. You have to find. You have to find a.
No, he said
organization of
nobody,
people.
but I'm not going off
No,
of
you
my
said a
argument.
lot, though.
But here's
If he
this: though.
finds one,
let's approach it from another
I'll be
angle.
okay.
What will demilitarizing the police accomplish?
Are you asking me what it will accomplish?
Because it is a goal, right?
I don't know whose goal. I mean, our goal is
Now,
decolonization.
that's not a goal for anyone to either. Nobody's
I don't know.
seeking. There's no movement to demilitarize the police.
Diallo, nobody said you're
Saying
bringing
what
up
anybody said. I asked a question. Can I get an answer for my question?
I don't know.
but
if
you're
anybody talks
asking
about
a
I'm asking.
disingenuous,
Well, answer the
flawed
question and then tear. Oh my
it.
goodness.
No, but it's a slick one. I like that. You know,
This
I like
is
how
wild
he did that
because I didn't know that
he put
the
it on.
militarization of the police just wasn't a thing, and I'm just going on. I don't
So
know. I didn't.
Diallo, we gonna let you ask your question and then let them answer, and then let's go. Your question is what? Is
What?
it what will
Well,
demilitarize-
I'm not answering the
Go
question
ahead.
because
No,
it's not
he
relevant.
asked the
Because there
question.
is first here. Let me ask.
Ask
you.
the ask.
Is there a
you
movement?
ask the question.
Is there a movement or a cry for seeking to demilitarize the police?
Have I heard anyone calling for that? Yeah, there people call for that.
But since there are no police demilitarization advocates here as we speak, I'll just leave it alone because there's really nothing to debate because I'm speaking to people who agree with me. So we all agree. And the only disagreement that there is that I made an assertion that there are people who believe that demilitarizing the police is somehow something to strive for and a positive accomplishment. I asserted that demilitarization there are movements and cries and petitions and efforts to demilitarize the police. I asserted that those things happen. You guys are like, wow, I didn't even know demilitarization was a thing. And now, but we all agree that that is just a surface cosmetic thing, that there is a much deeper issue that we have to target. The militarization of the police is not the issue. It is the police unto themselves, whether they are militarized or not. There's all agreement. It's all love.
So Jared, the class, the people in the class, the students, was they aware that the students would, I mean, the police was being militarized? How did they respond? Jared, is he typing away?
I mean,
Jared
I just Googled demilitarize the police, Campaign Zero, Brennan Justice, Oxfam America, even the Senate.gov is having hearings on demilitarization. Wow. The R Street Institute, even right-wing conservative organizations. The Koch brothers are talking about the issues.
But you know who you didn't read on there?
Civil Liberties Union. So I'm talking to the wrong people.
You know who you didn't read on there? You know who you didn't read on there? Anybody associated with this platform.
I just said that. I just said that there's no debate here. There's no debate here.
That's why I put the straw up, because you created an argument for yourself to have. You did.
Okay, yeah. I created it. It's all in my mind. It's all in my head. There has been no cause for demilitarization. It's just my mind.
That's not what, but again, that's my point. You took my acknowledgement of a presentation to create an argument against what was nobody was talking about, so that you could have this whole rant. And I'm just saying, so that's why I mean, yeah. So in other words, you would be as I said before, you would be appreciative and maybe benefit from the presentation that was delivered in my classroom, because it is a challenge to the liberal rebranding of legitimate political efforts by those who would dwindle it down and reduce it to what you're talking about. So this is the problem that I have just in general that's happening a lot. So it's almost funny when you say we shouldn't act like the white man. We got to stop doing that, because when I hear you doing what you're doing just now, it is exactly what was bothering me from Norman Finkelstein in my discussion with him the other day. It is, you are targeting the rebranded, liberalized version that is here to negate the actual work people are doing, instead of acknowledging the work that they're doing and raising it up as the legitimate representation of all that is being done here. So instead of listening and focusing on what was being said regarding Black Alliance for Peace in this particular presentation and how they approached the topic and what was actually said in the presentation, you took that moment and the simple acknowledgement or reference to police violence as a way to target all of these groups and to make the point that you're making, which no one here was disagreeing with, and that you are actually distracting from by having us focus on the liberalized version of it. So the point was, as I tried to assert earlier in the discussion, their whole focus on the issue of police violence was a way to get people to recognize what is actually happening beyond. And that's why I criticized and acknowledged my own previous inability to recognize the point that was raised about the police, the increase of police weaponry on campus being used against the public and the community itself.
Sure.
Message.
So I guess Geechee did that. I don't know what I'm not clear what it is that you're laughing at, and maybe that's why
I was laughing at the fact that you were about to say militarization, but you
no, that's not what I was saying. No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying they were getting an increase in military equipment. But I was saying they were getting military equipment. Listen, I wasn't talking about military, and even if I was saying militarization, it wasn't to say that is in of itself the issue. That was in itself the issue. That the militarization is not in and of itself.
If I made a statement that everybody agrees with and nobody was arguing,
I'm gonna go back.
That's wild.
Baltimore Flaming Hot Cheetos.
No, them is pork rinds.
Well, I mean, but there is something. I have to give Jared that clarification, because it's not just that it was a statement that everybody agreed with and there should be no problem. Is when the statement was made and how it was made without context. All those groups you name are true. That's what they're calling for. You know, I was trying to really,
and that's all I'm denouncing. But I never said.
But it should be clear though. When you bring it up in the context of something else, that you should make a clarification that, well, you know, I commend these groups because they're not doing that, and they're bringing, because at least we should
No, I'm
deserve
not
a
gonna do that.
commendation.
No, because then
know,
there's no
especially-
straw for him to argue against.
Yeah. And
ain't nobody got time for that.
exactly.
The
because
term police demilitarizing the police came up. And I
Nobody
made a
has time
statement,
to
not
lift
saying
up
that
those
anyone
who
did or
organize
didn't do
the stuff.
anything. I made a statement from my point of view on police demilitarization. And what
But that
it
would
really
be like the
means and
fact
what
you
it
brought
would-
up black
what it would
capitalism
really
and black
do.
women in business.
And
It
then
would be like them
everybody
turning
started
that
being like,
into
he's
a
talking about
praise
me. You must
that
be
we're
talking
just
about us.
praising
I didn't
black
say that.
women.
I didn't say nobody's name. I'm on tape.
So, but the fact that it was
And
referenced again, that
people
we
can go back
referenced
and not
Cathy
only
Hughes,
watch,
we
and
referenced
not
Radio
only
1.
watch.
We
not-
referenced Radio 1. We referenced Cathy Hughes. We referenced capitalism.
That
we
was
referenced
even before
co-optation.
we got into Cathy
No, but my
Hughes.
point is, you could have taken any of us could have taken. No, you're not listening again. Any of us could have taken any of those references and run off with the conversation in any number of different directions, and even twist it around as if we weren't actually criticizing it. So the simple fact that an issue was raised is not in and of itself reason, or should not be cause for you to go off and argue against the straw. It should be acknowledged in the context
Who
in
did
which
I-
it came up.
What straw? You're misusing that straw man
I'm
argument.
really not.
All I did was say the concept of police. I was speaking. Only thing I was arguing against is the movement of police demilitarization, and I was pointing out a component, the aspect of it. I never said anybody in that. I didn't speak about the organization you talking, Black Alliance
That's
for
the
Peace.
point.
I didn't say you or anybody else did or didn't do anything or stood or didn't stand for anything. Y'all the ones
That's my
that stood
point.
up talking about, hold on, we didn't say that. Who did I accuse? Who did I name?
But it was
I'm
an accusation
saying
of
I was
statement.
only
It was
no,
accusatory
was
statement made at a
spirit.
time
I'm
when
from the Baptist
people,
church.
other groups were being raised.
You have a guilty spirit, my brother.
There's no way
I
you
didn't
don't know what
say
you're doing.
nobody
There's zero
did
chance
nothing.
Diallo doesn't know what he's doing.
Diallo is not
Zero
conceding
chance.
to nothing. He gonna shoot.
But
shoot,
there's zero
shoot, and
chance.
keep shooting.
Goddamn thing, because I ain't done
He-
nothing to nobody.
There's no
I'm
way to
telling
concede
y'all
when he
that
knows
I
what
made a
he's doing.
statement about police militarization.
Yeah.
And y'all started arguing against me. I didn't say this as an argument against anybody.
Wrong. That's totally false.
Go back and replay it.
It was
Play it
against
next
the
Friday.
Houston
Next
opinion.
Friday, bring it up, and you'll find that I say, "Hey, this police demilitarization, which is a thing that NEFTA just learned about today.
NetFA.
This
I didn't
movement
just learn
of
about it. I
police
couldn't- I told you I
demilitarization
recognize
is a
it.
huge movement, and I'm just saying for those involved in the movement, if the shoe fits, for those involved in the movement, running behind police demilitarization is kind of an expenditure of energies that are not going to give you a large return. That's all my main point.
But that's the
And then
nonprofit
y'all all say,
industrial
well, we
complex
totally
mostly
agree with you,
liberal
but you're
white
wrong.
folks.
For accusing,
wait,
I didn't accuse
Diallo,
nobody. of
Diallo,
it.
Diallo. Before next week, do you promise? This is what I would request. Look at the BAP presentation. Look at the BAP presentation in its entirety, and then come back next week and see if this straw argument applies at all.
When did I ever mention the BAP presentation?
But that would be my.
That's what we was talking about. That was the topic. That's what we was talking about the whole time.
That's what you was talking about. What was I talking about?
That's
was
my
I
point.
talking about the BAP
You
presentation?
that's the whole point of a straw argument. That's the whole point of a straw argument. You set up what
somewhere
nobody
else?
is talking about. That's the whole point.
About it. I'm not nobody. I wanted to share my point of view on the issue of police demilitarization. I did not say anybody. I did not say anything. But y'all started being like, "Oh, you talking about us?" And I'm like, "I'm talking about you."
You were just trying to derail the conversation.
No, I wasn't. There was no comment. Go back and watch the tape.
I was trying to understand what you were saying. You said you weren't
What
trying
I
to
said
accuse us
was
of doing it, but you
on
were
the
trying
topic
to,
of
you wanted to
police
talk about something else.
demilitarization. Y'all all claim y'all agree. Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah, you're right, but you're wrong to say that we. And y'all confusing me right now. But since we all agree, as I said, we all agree. I didn't erect no straw man. I didn't say Black Alliance for Police believe this.
No,
I don't know if they believe it or not.
Wait. But no, so you don't understand straw argument then, because
I
that
understand
would
straw
no.
argument.
If you had actually said Black Alliance for Peace says this, that, and a third, and I disagree with it, even if you were wrong, at best you would be steel manning the argument by naming them and naming their argument. What
I
you're
wasn't
doing here,
naming them.
What you're doing here
on
is the
police
hold on,
demilitarization.
Hold on, Diallo. What you're doing here is straw manning the argument by not referencing Black Alliance for Peace or what they actually said, and using a vague reference to a concept to create a whole argument against the very straw that I'm saying. That's exactly my point.
What am I creating an argument against?
You're creating
It's wrong, bro.
You're creating an argument against what BAP did not say, what I did not introduce.
I didn't never reference BAP. Try again. What did I make an argument
against? Diallo, you're not listening.
Wow, you're not listening. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm not. I guess.
Yeah, you're
I'm hearing.
It's okay. It's okay though.
What did I create an argument against BAP and what BAP was saying?
That's what he's
my
saying.
point. If you had created, that's my point. Sorry, go ahead. Ned.
What did I argue against?
You created an argument against something that was not in the conversation, making it seem
what
like
was that something? What did I create an argument?
You were creating an argument against those or the assertion that demilitarization solves everything and that it's there's not something deeper here. You were creating an argument against that assertion, which was not in the topic, which was not being mentioned. So that makes it a straw man argument because and you created it because you did it in an accusatory manner. I'm tired of this thing, as if you were speaking about the topic at hand, which makes it a straw man argument because that wasn't the topic at hand, or it wasn't the assertion at hand. Even if it would have been real deconstructed, because I really appreciated how quickly you found those other groups and then those kind of looked at it. And if those were specified at the time, that would have been really informative for people. And even to be prepared and look and come and bring these groups and scrutinize their position and their analysis, I think that's actually quite valuable and it's something we should be doing. But in terms of just bringing out an accusatory statement in the middle of a conversation that's asserting the analysis that we should be having about this makes it sound like you are accusing those who are presenting that analysis of what you're making an argument against. That makes it a straw man argument. Even if maybe you weren't meaning to do that, but in the future it would just be good to just specify who you're talking about. And not just making an amorphous, generalized,
It was a generalized statement.
Yeah, but that's maybe
we should, and a concept.
It's better you not to do, especially because you don't seem to know how to.
I did not
of when to do it.
I did not stop anyone from coming to say when Jared said that's not their argument. When he said, "Oh, nobody's saying that," I said I agree, and I didn't say anybody said it, but I felt it needed to be said because I think there are people in our listening audience and in the community in general who I think would benefit from understanding that the problem did not start with demilitarization and it would not end with demilitarization.
That's exactly why you should have been supporting what was being brought up.
I just wanted that on record. It wasn't stated. If that's what they believe, no one else said it. So I wanted to be the one to put it on record to say, yo, this police demilitarization stuff is something that is receiving an enormous amount of attention and resources. And I don't think that it deserves the attention and resources because it only glances the surface of the problem. That's all I was saying. I didn't accuse anyone. Dr. Ball, now give me a moment, Dr. Ball. I didn't accuse anyone.
A moment.
All right.
Damn.
But you can go check the record. I didn't accuse anybody. I didn't accuse anybody of taking that.
We already acknowledged that you didn't accuse anybody in what you were saying.
Hold on. Wait, just real quick. Let that moment breathe, because if people even rewind that last comment from Diallo, he's acknowledging that I'm correct. He created a straw argument. He didn't. It had nothing to do. He's acknowledging. You've acknowledged Diallo. All right, thank you very much. Take it easy. You just acknowledged. No one said what I was arguing against. No one brought up the point against which I was arguing, but I felt it needed to be said just in case.
No,
so
I
that's
didn't say
the whole
just
point.
In case.
You did, just in case there are people in our audience who needed to know it. You just said that.
No, I said, okay, fine. Just in case. Yes, I think that needed to be articulated, that the police demilitarization, which is a major movement that's receiving a lot of resources and time and energy from elements of our community and beyond. And the only thing I wanted to share, and it could have been left at that.
And you shared. Now we're just repeating.
It didn't start, and it will not end with demilitarization.
Right.
And demilitarization is often taking up the argument. and taking up a lot of space in these rooms related
Will
to
you-
the atrocities
will
of
you-
the
You're right.
police.
It's taking
Will
up the
you look-
argument right now. We 3 hours in, and
Yeah.
it took up. It
Yeah,
took up
let's
a
go
lot of
ahead and
argument.
go. And I just want to invite you to check out their actual presentation because I think you'll find it.
But I'm not
That's the call-
critiquing their
that-
presentation.
No, I know.
never
That's the
critiqued
call-
their
that's-
presentation.
It'll
That's
be
the call
support.
to action.
It's just more support.
That's all
It's
the
just
action.
more support for your argument. That's all. I'm not saying.
Yeah, go
it's
back.
just more
I'm on
support.
tape. I'm on
Okay.
tape.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Please support the channel in any way you can see fit. Peace if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. We'll catch you next time here on Earn Your Liberation. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can